Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. We are back and better than ever. That is what Mike Greenberg would say if this was Mike and Mike in the morning, but this isn't. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am back from a working vacation here for a short week for Hoop Spaces today, then Thursday and Friday, maybe tomorrow. Wednesday, have court. But we're getting ready to launch the start of the second season of Hoop Spaces. Although, like, we never really went away except for last week. I want to welcome each and every one of you back. Thank you for coming. You make the day worth living in the world of basketball. Lots to get to as we recap the WNBA, getting ready for the playoffs. The Sky looked real good. The Sparks came back and battled back with a must win. The Aces spoil the home and finale of One Sue Bird. The Lynx pushing in for the playoffs with the Sparks. They're fighting for one of those last spots, beating the Dream. Lots to get to with that. Then we talked Dejounte and Paulo. There's a huge story behind here that a lot of people don't realize that deals with the city of Seattle, recruiting, and basically how people are the way they are in the world of basketball. And LeBron and the Lakers start having contract discussions. We talk about how serious that is. I think he's a Laker until he retires. We'll get into that. Shout outs down below. If you want a mic, go ahead and request it and grab one. I see Gifted X Blade in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Back to the original hashtag and grind, ladies and gentlemen. Got to shoot him a follow. We have Rach in the building. Jason from Jason Gaming is here. I see Rico Suave in the building. Roller will probably pop in. Jay Trent, Jay, Eddie, what's up? All right. If you guys want a mic, come on up. You already know Jason is up here. He's gracing us with his presence this morning. We'll get into the W in a second. I'll reach out to see if 808s and Snack Breaks wants to come up so he can go ahead and get us primed. I see Janelle Moore in the building, dope journalist. Make sure you follow her over at the Mercury News. JC, say good morning to the good people.
Yo, first and foremost, shout out to the host, co host, speakers, and listeners. Give the host a follow. A lot of great content up and down, all basketball, WNBA, NBA, the beef in the NBA, the beef in the WNBA. Really, really good content. Long time listener. Decided to kind of jump up here in the last couple of weeks, and I'm thoroughly enjoying just being a speaker and a listener. So much appreciation. Um, I want to talk about this Dejounte Murray and Paulo beef because it's a little bit deeper than what the media is making it seem. Normally, the media gets it right or the media overhypes it, but I think they tried to let this one like kind of blow under the radar. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but over the weekend, Isaiah Thomas has a tournament. It's called Zekend. It's a whole weekend of wonderful basketball. You got some pro amateur players, you got some professional players, you got some guys that have been in other leagues, you got some up and comers, some steppers basically. This is where you kind of want to play basketball. So Dejounte Murray and Paulo were on different teams. But when you look at that game, if any of you watched the game. DeJounte took that game a little bit more serious when he saw Paulo in or around him. Most notably, DeJounte has been playing a lot of pro-am basketball this summer. He's been in a couple of leagues. I think he was in the J Crossover League. He was in the IBS League. He did one in Chicago. So he's been kind of like in a bunch of different jerseys doing it. And he even posted a clip on one of his social medias just basically saying, hey, if you're a professional basketball player, you should come out to these pro-am tournaments, these pro-am events and play because a lot of these kids are too poor to afford the tickets to come to the actual NBA games. So this is a perfect opportunity for these kids to come out and see you guys for free. And if any of you have been into any of these open run tournaments, a lot of them are free. Like I just took my son to one of the games up in Virginia that they had, which was pretty cool. And it was a free game. The only thing you had to pay for was, of course, concessions and stuff like that. So I was behind him with that, but I saw what he was doing to Paulo, and then I saw the messages afterwards. He caught Paulo with like a pump fake, and Paulo jumped, and then he hit him on the back with the ball, threw the ball off the glass, dunked it. Was talking trash, talking so much trash, telling him he was too small. He's a baby. He don't belong in the league. Things like that. And Paulo, kind of took it on the chin and reached out to him after the game and kind of basically on his Instagram and said something like, "LOL, you follow me, you unfollow me on the gram and everything. It must be personal. Just make sure you guard me next time. Stop sending doubles my way, family." And I guess you guys already know. Dejounte kind of sent something back. You tried to flex that number one pick on me when I've been rooting for you when I was a kid, when you was asking to rebound for me. This internet shit ain't nothing. You changed from a humble kid, all that. And my whole thing about it is Dejounte, what are you doing, bro? He hasn't played a lick of basketball in the league yet. All he's played is summer leagues. He hasn't played an NBA game yet. Why are you so upset that this guy is happy to be the number one pick? Maybe something happened behind the scenes that they aren't speaking on. But if we're from the same hood, and they're both from Seattle, if we're from the same hood, and I'm doing my thing in the NBA, and you're just now getting drafted, number one pick, I'm gonna show you some love. I'm not gonna. If we got issues, you can take that behind closed doors. You don't have to let the whole world know you got issues because it ain't no fun when the family feuds. And that's all I wanted to say on that. I'll talk the LeBron stuff and WNBA stuff later, but that was the first thing I wanted to say. So appreciate you for having me up here.
Yeah, most definitely. There's a lot to get to, and a lot of this has to do with college recruiting, high school play, and Seattle. Um, well, we'll get to there. I want to make sure though that we keep the same format that we've been going here. We had 4 games last night or yesterday and last night, two of which both teams need to win. Right, and actually, 3 of the 4 teams playing need to win. That's the Sparks and Mystics and the Dream and Lynx. The Sparks win 79-76 in a nail biter. They needed to win. They improved to 13-20. The Lynx beat the Dream 81-71. They improved to 13-20. They needed to win. And more importantly, they both needed Atlanta to lose. This puts the Atlanta Dream, the Phoenix Mercury, the New York Liberty, the Minnesota Lynx, and the Los Angeles Sparks all in a crazy position where they can finish with similar records and have to have tiebreakers to get to the last 2 spots of the WNBA playoffs, which is just around the corner. And personally, there is some need here for me that the New York Liberty lose. Otherwise, I'm going to have to listen to a lot of New York Liberty fans say that, see, we made it, and I'm not about that. So if you have anything you want to talk about that, we can come on up and also talk that. The Chicago Sky, they are fighting destiny. Like that's literally what it seems like. They beat the Connecticut Sun 94-91. The Connecticut Sun really surged in the second quarter, but it just wasn't enough to overcome that putrid first quarter with the great Sky defense. Candace Parker 18, 12, and 5, looking like she's ready for another playoff run. And then the Las Vegas Aces behind Asia Wilson defeat the Seattle Storm 89-81 in Sue Bird's last professional game in the WNBA. If you want to talk about that, Breanna Stewart, by the way, looks fantastic with 35-10. Asia with 29-6. We've got Landon Buford of LandonBuford.com. You can also catch some of his writings over on USA Today or SI. We have Douglas Fresh up here. That's Dougie Fresco. And No IG Brand. We'll go to No IG Brand next. What's up, IG? How you doing?
My bad, show. Good morning, everybody. I just kind of only want to tap in. Shout out to the W because every game, if y'all ain't watching, watch. Every game is a must-see game. It means something. These women really playing hard. I want to tap in about just a little bit about the baby boy and Paulo thing. Excuse me, I start shooting around while I listen to you, so let me sit down real quick. I just know like that basketball community, they are very close knit, and Baby Boy and Paulo have come across each other more than one time. So uh, he must have got word that Paulo went against the code, so to say, about staying true to who you are. Yeah, they technically, I mean, they from the same hood as Seattle, but like Baby Boy really from the streets. You know, he went to a public school. Paulo went to private school. You know, so it may be that disconnect with the community that Baby Boy is putting the light on. Like, yo, you feel me? This is what we do as Seattle basketball players. You know, we change people's lives. So, whatever he did off in that community, basketball community, that's basically what Baby Boy was highlighting was that wasn't cool. Whether it was he slighted a little kid or might have slighted a coach. But, when he say stuff like you changed, like he's really trying to get him to understand like something about what he done or had done or whatever was not cool. And somebody got to let him know. And Big brother got to do that. So I think that'll be something that Paulo later on down the line he's appreciative about because it's just a reality check, and the reality check is coming from somebody who really hasn't had anything and really understand that he can throw his opportunity away if he does the wrong things. And I'm speaking about Baby Boy. So I just think later on down the line, Paulo will come to appreciate this because that's a family over there in Seattle, and I don't think there's a better group of basketball players in the United States than that Seattle family. So much respect to what they doing and how they holding their camp down. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, it is, and that's why I preface with saying like this is a larger story than 99.9% of the people understand. Right? You kind of have to go back um, to the 2019 state championship, and it kind of goes from there. Like there's a whole story about this Paulo Banchero to Duke recruiting angle because Paulo's committed to UW, and everybody understood that like it was done. He was there. He wasn't the prodigy, right? But he was going to be the next favorite son from Seattle. And we all understand that the current favorite son just retired, being Jamal, right? And
Or
Dejounte was supposed to take that step. So there's some personal back and forth here. That's like a natural rivalry, but you really got to start like at 2019, and then what Brand is saying in regards to specifically where DJ's from, and specifically where Paulo's from. Go ahead.
and the thing about not to cut you off, Seattle basketball, they just had three guys go in the first round this year, so it wasn't just Paulo. Somebody else might have Beauchamp more. Had they got the opportunity to take him, that don't mean Paulo was the best player, but in that Seattle basketball community, like they breathe this. These kids come up at about 13, 14, just having to wait on their opportunity to get that shot because they so good so early. So Tari Eason, like it's a bunch of younger guys that he probably ain't had to do that to, but he did that to Banchero for a reason. And I think we'll see, if it toughens him up down the line because that's what Big Brother's supposed to do.
All right, I want to get Landon Buford in here. He also has some news about the Sparks being stranded. Landon, go ahead.
Hold, hey, Chris, let me ask this: which private school did Papa go to? Because Garfield's public.
Brian, you got it?
Yeah, my bad. He went to O'Day. Baby
Oh,
Boy went to Rainier Beach. I think
I'm,
Tari Eason went
I'm
to Garfield. Go ahead.
familiar with DJ's background. I was just asking which high school because I saw Garfield when he was there. That's why I
Yeah.
was asking.
No, that's why I said 2019.
Okay, I got you.
That was
As far as the Sparks, they were stranded in the airport last night. Plane was canceled, delayed, and they were stranded in the airport. Some of them were in the airport, the others were at the hotel because they didn't have enough rooms last night. So again, we're having problems in the W because they can't fly private or charter planes. And if they were able to charter planes, LA, I know for a fact, is one of those teams that wouldn't have a problem because they have the money to the resources to do so. So it's kind of ridiculous, in my opinion, that we're having this again. That we're having 4 years ago. Obviously, the Aces were in the airport for 24 hours in Dallas, and then again, ironically, going to Washington, and then now the Sparks, after they beat Washington, trying to go home are delayed as well. So hopefully, I think they got out at 9 o'clock Eastern time because I'm actually in Seattle right now. But yeah, I think that's kind of ironic, especially since the Liberty just got fined $500K and almost lost their membership of the W for trying to charter planes, or in Joe Tsai's case, private plane themselves to games last year. So that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, I mean, golly, like I don't. It makes no sense, man. It's supposed to be an association of private owners, and you'd think that in the year of 2022, especially after 2 years of uneven, flying, they would have already fixed this problem, but apparently not. Danny D is with us. Good morning, Danny. Welcome back. How you doing?
Oh, good morning to you, Chris, and everyone. You finally made it out the woods. Jason didn't kill you, I see. And obviously you birthed your son because he looks like you.
It's never changed. Like the baby pictures and everything, 100%.
I said, look at old little Chrissy right there. Looks so cute. Anyway, it's a shame. I didn't realize they were stuck in the airport last night. That's unfortunate. I have never been stranded before, so I don't know nothing about that. But I mean, what do you expect from the W? Look at the Aces. The Aces been on the road for 2 weeks. And I'm surprised they ain't got stranded yet. The last time they were home was, I don't know, shoot, the end of July, wouldn't it? They played the Sky for the Commissioner's Cup, and they haven't been back home since. For 2 weeks. I'm surprised they ain't get laid off somewhere for 24 hours. But I'm looking forward to the end of this WNBA season right now, because this final push for the final 2 playoff spots, they about to be crazy. I think Dallas is good where they're at. Atlanta is my question, and Phoenix. New York still got a possibility. I mean, even Minnesota got a possibility because that was a good win for them last night. So it's gonna be interesting. These last few games, I don't know what's gonna happen at the bottom half. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm happy my Aces won last night. I like pissing in people's cornflakes, especially Sue Bird's cornflakes. I enjoyed that moment. Good. So long, farewell. Avita saying good night. Please go off in the sunset.
Why we hate Sue Bird so much?
She played for UConn, so it's a love-hate
Why do we
relationship.
hate UConn so much?
I like Tennessee. I'm a Tennessee girl. Okay, I like Tennessee.
There's a
I
whole
like how you did that.
don't like bro.
It's only 2 of them I like, and
I didn't know
Malika
that.
had to remind me last night which ones I like. I like Maya, and I like Swing Cash because she played for my Detroit Shock. So there you go.
I like Gino.
And she need to take, I don't like Gino either. And she need to take DT with her because her Bigfoot butt need to retire too. But go home and be with her wife and her children. Anywho.
Stop talking about LeBron. I mean, Diana LeBron. Stop that.
Okay, look. I'm just saying look. I just need her to go home too, okay? And maybe Skylar will be happier. But at the end of the day, it was a great game. Asia's MVP. If y'all didn't know, she showed y'all last night. I know somebody made 35 points, but Asia showed you the bag last night. She showed you everything. I'm not taking no slander. That's your MVP. That's your defensive player of the year. She was out there doing moves. I was like, dang, shooting threes, inside, outside game. That's my girl. Represent South Carolina. I know that's right. Other than that, I'm just looking forward to these playoffs. It's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be wonderful. You're gonna see some beautiful basketball from some beautiful women out here doing their thing, showing you their craft, and it's just gonna be beautiful. I'm looking forward to it.
Man, you used the word beautiful like 8 times. Point to you.
I love this game. I just love this game. I know my husband happy football season about to start, and I told him the other day, when football season start, that means I'm one step closer to another NBA season. So hey, let's go.
I don't do the football.
I don't either, but I get enjoyment of watching my husband cuss at the coaches of his Philadelphia Eagles, and I just sit there and laugh. And it's gonna be another sad season for my Detroit Lions as usual. But hey, you don't look you don't expect anything, you won't be disappointed. It is what it is. I just want to be Green Bay, and that makes my season. There you go.
When I did do football, I was an Eagles fan. Um, but that
Yeah,
was
he's a
that was
Deagle fan.
yeah, that was a while ago. Yeah, I look. A lot of people assumed that it was because of Colin Kaepernick. It wasn't. Like that was just kind of like the icing on the cake. Um, I personally don't appreciate a business entity that lies to its consumer base about the safety of its product. That's just how I put it. To me, what the NFL did with concussions is basically on par with some other companies that did some bad things. But that's just me. Also up on stage, we've got Dougie Fresco. We have Evan Townsend and Jay the Wakanda.
Yo,
What's up, Dougie? It's been a minute. How you doing, bro?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. Just real quick on the Paulo thing. It was, when you saw the clip and you saw his reaction, like you knew it had to be something behind that. Because I never even seen your man act that way. And I want to first say, yo, I hear what IG Brand was talking about. I respect Seattle basketball. Back in the day, I used to watch the Washington team and wonder, like, why were they so good? They used to always get guys that I never heard of. And then eventually I put two and two together, like, yo, Seattle, they got people over there. But what I do think it is as well is just a reaction of not being around Popovich no more. Because if you think about, like, when you with Popovich, you didn't hear none of this. You didn't see him popping off or nothing. As soon as he's away from there, now all of a sudden you seeing him on Twitter and seeing him whatever. He about to be in the clubs in Atlanta. I hope this is good for his game. I think it was good for Kawhi. And once he would escape that. But I definitely think it's a product of not being in San Antonio. And now he's able to kind of, I don't know, talk shit or flex his whatever. I think it's a bit of that as well. No disrespect to Pop, because I think he gets these guys ready, right? But it was just, it ran its course over there. So now we'll kind of see what this does to his game. I think it'll be good for him, but I do think the only reason why you're hearing all this shit talking is because he ain't with Pop no more. But thank you for having me, yo.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, last night, Derek Stein and Gifted Blade held a wonderful episode of the Locker Room where they got into the Western Conference tier list. And let me tell you, the idea of the San Antonio Spurs not being competitive is real. And I think we're seeing the end of what is now being dubbed the cult of Popovich. I don't agree with this, but there is a small sect of NBA Twitter who now apparently are viewing the Spurs as a cult-like entity. And to that, we'll go to Evan Townsend, whom you can read words over at Project Spurs. Also, a wonderful NBA draft analysis. He did some work with us along with Matthew Maurer during the draft. Evan, good morning. You started calling this when he started to switch and push his way out of San Antonio. What's your reaction to what we've seen Summer League circuit and the Pro-Am circuit?
Yeah, man. Well, what's going on, everybody? How's everyone doing? This Dejounte stuff is actually really funny. I mean, like they did a really good job of hiding his real ego and basically his home style way of doing things, of speaking, of just everything. They basically did a really good job of media training him in San Antonio to be the face. He enjoyed the notoriety that came with it. He enjoyed everyone embracing him. He enjoyed obviously being an all-star. He enjoyed everything. He did everything right. But as soon as, we couldn't get Zach LaVine, as soon as we couldn't get a top pick, as soon as we couldn't really want to pay DeAndre Ayton, as soon as we were still going to be in that mid-tier of the NBA, as soon as we realized, oh, man, we suck. We hired Brett Brown, leader of the tank. Not that many people know Brian Wright kind of screwed things up as a GM with Orlando Magic the past few years. The previous team before that, we have the worst GM in terms of trying to win, but we got all the assets, Enough of that, enough of Spurs talk. Dejounte literally just won it out. He got his way, and now he's truly being himself, and he's happy. He made it clear. He says, I want to be happy. I want to win. And what I've realized is that the Atlanta Hawks, they're building this culture of just, man, you either hate or love these players and every single tier. You either hate or love Trae Young. You either hate or love Clint Capella. You either hate or love John Collins. You hate or love every single player on that team. And that's what they're doing. That's what they're building. They're going to be the, 2015, 2016 Hawks with the Jeff Teague and Al Horford era, right? Maybe win some games, maybe get bounced in the second round. Who knows? But all I know is from the Paulo standpoint, from all this stuff, is that realistically he is kind of have like a little ego of a number one pick. He's flexing his chains, flexing his all his little, all this little gifts, quote unquote, that he got. But realistically, the kid needed to go to Duke to be humbled. He had Arizona, Tennessee, Washington, someone else all as a top five. He pretty much chose Duke because he had to have a coach pretty much on his ass every single day for weight management. He would sweat and lose 7-8 pounds a day in practice every game. Of course, to be mature. Of course, learn to be media trained. Of course, to build out his game, because if he went to anywhere else, he could have obviously hurt his stock. But Dejounte just on his ass, like how Aji was saying, how Douglas was saying. You have an opportunity to humble these kids in front of everybody. And when everyone's screaming, Paulo, Paulo, we're here for Paulo. And DeJounte is doing all these antics, bouncing off balls, people's heads, all this kind of stuff. He's doing it for attention. But realistically, he's true to himself. He's not doing anything wrong for the most part. He's kind of doing a little bit too much sometimes, but that's just who he is. And he's making his point across. So he's going to be super loud, he's going to do the most on Twitter all year long. No John Morant stuff, nothing like that. But he's going to enjoy the process of everyone talking about him finally. That's all he wanted throughout his whole life, literally.
Man, John Collins, 24. Dejounte Murray, 24. Trae Young, 23. Are we looking at a core of three for the next 3 or 4 years that the league is just going to hate, like the Bad Boy Pistons era?
I wouldn't say that, but I don't even know, man. I don't want them to be good because we have all their picks for the most part, but I think that they're going to surprise a lot of teams. That Eastern Conference has got a lot better. They're not getting. No one is getting any younger. No one is going away besides maybe the Nets. So we'll see, but there are going to be a lot of competing teams in that top four, not trying to be in that bottom tier of the West or the East, that is. So we'll see. But I'm not going to say they're going to be a dynasty or anything like that. But who knows? If they can stay healthy, maybe.
You got any words coming up over at Project Spurs?
No, but I have been working for the last 3-4 weeks trying to get all this draft content going. We're actually going to do the draft content right this year, not just prematurely jumping into things and just saying, "Oh, I'm a draft analysis guy." No, we're gonna do everything right from the preseason draft boards all the way down to the very end. So yeah, and we're obviously gonna be the worst team in the NBA, and obviously trying to get Victor Wembanyama. So probably 2-3 weeks, I'm gonna start doing that. Get a whole new rebrand going, quote unquote. So yeah, but yeah, it's gonna be pretty exciting.
All right, the Victor watch is on in San Antonio, and somehow I just have this feeling you're going to end up with the second pick and scoop.
Hey, listen, I'll let you know right now. There's maybe 5 or 6 guys, I won't say any names, that can maybe jump in that tier of being in the top 2 or 3, depending on Victor's health and depending on Scoot's. I don't want to say ego, but he's gonna force his way to a team maybe in the top 3, just how Paulo, how Chad did. You'll see. Trust me.
All right, there you go. Already with the preseason draft board telling you there's 6 or 7 guys. Make sure you shoot a follow over to Evan Townsend, catch his words over at Project Spurs. Want to give some more shout outs down below. Big ups to Will, Biased Houston. If you need some Houston in your life for the Rockets, check out what Will has got going. He's got a couple other guys, and they basically run, the Rockets Twitter spaces here. Affiliated with us in the group chat. And I'm telling you, next season, as we all continue to grow, you're going to see basically the new version of how we're going to be able to cover the league. I think you'll see a lot of the bigger companies start to actually break down and try to enter into social drop in audio even more than they're doing right now. And I say that to basically run an ad for myself here. Ryan can't come in. It's his youngest first day of kindergarten, so if he pops in, he'll be in later. So you can tell him I did this. This morning, I paid the first bit of tuition for my son. My son is going into his 4th grade year, but he is in 7th grade and 6th grade classes. He cannot go to a public school here because they don't have an AP class, and they don't move the kid to the next school up until he hits middle school. So I send him to a school called Apogee for the Gifted, and I pay out of pocket for it. Last year, I did 217 episodes of Hoop Spaces for $0. The only money I received was from the Twitter Spark program, which literally paid for debt that I accrued not working for doing hoop spaces full time. And going into this season, I don't know when the Spark program is going to come back up. I know it will, I just don't know when. And I also don't know what's going to be involved in there. So we have a Patreon. We're going to get ready to launch that. That's where I think we'll have some standalone content. And similar to Super Followers, I'm only asking like $5 a month. Super Followers is this addition thing you can do on Twitter. But right now, all I really care about is getting enough to pay his tuition off so I can guarantee that I'm able to go through the whole season like I did last year. So up there's a video. He asked to do this after he saw me pay the tuition. And I didn't want to do it. And then he kept bothering me in the car or the truck. And I said, fine. So he did it in the truck. If you do want to give, thank you. If you don't worry about it. But the Cash App's up there. It's like 16 grand. That's about 63% of my take home. We'll get 6,000 in vouchers and 2,000 SGO scholarships. So I'm essentially on the hook for almost $9,000. And any bit helps. There you go. That's my little 2-minute read. Back to basketball. We've got my man Dwight up here, diehard Hawks fan. He's going to weigh in on the Dejounte and Paulo. Also, if you look up, I shared a tweet from Gifted Blades session last night, space last night, but also from Jordan Thomas, another diehard Hawks fan, who, if you come in here to Hoop Spaces, you hear during the regular season, and he made a really good point. Like NBA fans, they cry, yo, the league is soft. We need more dogs out there. We need that guy with a dog. Why can't we get more Anthony Edwards? Why can't we get more Pat Bev? Why can't we get more Kyrie? Why do we have to get these Luke Kennard? Somebody even said Luke Kennard as if Luke Kennard is soft. We all know why he said Luke Kennard. He just got married. Shout out Luke Kennard. But then also NBA fans, DeJounte's being too aggressive. He's being too loud. Why is he being mean to Paulo? That's the real world. Dwight, your thoughts, man, on this fake storm that's happening, around DeJounte?
Well, yeah, Chris. Good morning. First and foremost, I came over here to see what was going on, and lo and behold, I didn't see Alex up here to carry the banner for us today. So I said I'll pop up here and do it. But before I go there, just having heard what you just said, we need to talk because I want to help you out there in a couple of different ways. So I'm gonna reach out to you and your messages. Make sure you look for that.
All right, appreciate it.
Now, as far as this Dejounte Murray thing goes, first of all, I mean, do we no longer play street ball, and do they not do that no more? I'm an old guy, so I remember going out on the courts and the trash being talked was like epic. It was a biggest part of the game, really. If it wasn't no trash talking going on, nobody really cared about the game. So, I mean, first of all, I don't get that. But second of all, I mean, did you see 6'4"? 6'4" Dejounte Murray going at Paulo? I mean, I'd have paid money for that one. Stepping up to guard the big man, just taking it to him, talking trash to him the whole time. Listen, whatever that big man said or did to Dejounte to get on his nerve, I'm glad he took it personal. It's about time somebody in a Hawk uniform started taking stuff personal. I'm still taking it personal that we got our asses whooped last year in the first round like that, and nobody seemed to care. So I'm with whoever says that it's past time for the NBA to players to show that they're gonna stand up for themselves and not take no crap. So I'm with all of Dejounte Murray's antics, and anybody else want to step to him, hey, let's have it. And yes, that big three you just named, that's gonna be devastating for a few years. I don't know how long we're gonna be able to keep it together, but if I can get Nate to let them guys go the way they need to go, John Collins gonna feast with two guys who can feed him at the rim like that.
All right. Well, we're gonna ask the question, and I'll get the poll up now. Shout out to Edwin Garcia. He put out, a tweet. The Hawks are on fraud watch already. So I'm gonna ask the simple question. It'll be yes or no with the poll. the Hawks, top 4 seed or not? Because the way I look at it is the top 4 seeds in the East and West generally be the ones who have the greatest chance of winning a championship. And to me, those are the basically going into the season top contenders. There's 8 of them. There's always 8. The rest are trying to catch up to those 8. So, Dwight, what do you think? Top 4 seed, yes or no?
I gotta know what's going on with Bogey's knee first because we gotta have that shooting off the bench. If we don't, I can't say right now. I know we're gonna be a playoff team. Top 4 seed, I can't guarantee until I know what's going on with Bogey's knee.
All right, that's fair enough. Like for full disclosure, I've now known Dwight over the course of 2 NBA seasons. Like I'm allow him that bit of room here, and he'll come back with us. But the question is still out there, and I'm going to get the tweet up here in a minute. Nat is just joined us. Reese Rebel is the handle. Somebody else you should definitely follow if you want to come in here and talk ball on Hoop Spaces. Host of So You Think You're a GM, the best game show we're going to have on Spaces Saturdays at 4, and also co-host of Bench Warmers. We'll finally get it together sometime, hopefully before the beginning of the season. Nat, your thoughts? Hawks top 4 seed, and what do you think of Dejounte versus Paulo?
I mean, it's possible for them to be, fourth or fifth. But I don't think that is necessarily what we should be talking about. I think that how far can they go in the playoffs is really what we should be talking about. And I don't think they can go that far. This is a wings league. What wing do they have? I mean, the guards will be fun. Hopefully, there's going to be some health there with Clint Capella. Hopefully, he gets back to playing, the ball he used to play, with a healthy body. And, if they keep John Collins, let's see what he can do this year too. But I just think that this is it's a wings league, and I don't see them getting far because the guys that they have to get through, they have elite wings, and they have also added, to their teams, to help them go even further than what they did last year. So I don't think that the Hawks will make it past the second round. But yeah, the fourth or fifth seed, I think is fine.
All right. I do want to point out that I think what they did is they went ahead and collected a couple of defensive, and I'm using air quotes, first wings, right? They picked up Maurice Harkless and they bring in Justin Holiday, right? And Justin Holiday is supposed to be 3 and D. Maurice Harkless is supposed to be D and, small ball 4 to go along with Bogdan Bogdanovic and someone who's been injured every season, but when healthy, and DeAndre Hunter, who's also 24, is a 3 and D type. I think they're trying to just throw bodies out there that are 3 and D, right?
Yeah.
What are you thinking? What are your thoughts when you say, okay, well, maybe they have enough depth on the wings, but are you saying that they don't have enough depth to counteract the elite talent and that they're capped? Or is this something that you could see a trade in the future and then they just become a juggernaut?
Well, I just think that last year when they were dangling John Collins around and there was some names being thrown out there, I thought that they would go ahead and get a wing, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. And then they didn't do it, so they're trying to just plug and play. And I don't think plug and play is going to work. But I think that the backcourt of Dejounte and Trey is going to be because it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to take some pressure off of Trey because we saw what happened last year in the playoffs. He couldn't depend on anybody, so it was easy to collapse on him, and he struggled. So now you got another guy that can go out and get his, and I think that offense is going to be nice until you play a 7-game series of too many good wings or elite wings. It's just going to be too much, honestly. So that's how I kind of see it going.
All right. Anybody? Oh, go ahead, man. What you got?
Yeah, like I was just checking. Like, are they that much better than Cleveland? Because Cleveland had a better record than them, but was still behind them. And I feel like Cleveland, Rubio getting hurt. Rubio is having the best season he's ever had. Like, I've never seen him shooting threes. He came in the Garden and was just flaming us up. And I'm like, him coming back healthy. I don't know if Colin Sexton's coming back, but I want him to stay. So if he comes back, those 2 7-footers, Mobley gonna get better. They just picked up his brother. I don't know how good his brother is, but I see Cleveland making a jump, not to the 4th seed, but Cleveland making a jump before I think Atlanta does. And I like Atlanta, but I don't know, man. That Cleveland team, I'm scared of them. I'm scared of them.
All right, that's a great question. I'll let Dwight hop up in here. Anybody else? And your thoughts? We got Landon and Danny D. We got Bran up here, Nash up here. Afterwards, we'll go to Jordan, who actually started this discussion with the tweet that I put up in the Jumbotron. Good morning, everybody.
And these are all some valid concerns about the Hawks, but if we give the Hawks as much credit for getting healthy as we give everybody else for getting healthy, then we got a healthy Capella coming back. We got a healthy Collins coming back. Again, hopefully we get a healthy Bogdanovich coming back. Hopefully we get the first healthy season out of DeAndre. A full healthy season out of DeAndre would be amazing for the Hawks just by itself. You're talking about 30 games with a guy who can do what he does. So, I mean, and then there's also a guy that we drafted last year in the first round, Jalen Johnson, that was highly touted, almost as highly as this guy Paulo that we're talking about today, as far as his skill set, his potential, and he got kind of buried in Atlanta last season, but we kind of expecting something to come out of that too. So I hear a lot of conversation about Atlanta, but I don't really hear a lot of conversation that actually speaks to the things that we can actually bring to the table. Yeah, if we can lay an egg like last year and come out not motivated and whatnot, we'll end up with some of the same results. But I think a healthy Hawks is just as good on paper as anybody else from any position standpoint. Wings, I mean, probably the best guards duo in the league, and two extremely gifted defensive centers, because we're forgetting about Okongwu too. And we people in Atlanta talk about maybe it's time for him to replace Clint, even though Clint still should be in his prime as a prime defender and rim runner. So yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of sleeping on the Hawks this year, but I believe this is going to be one of those seasons that makes people finally wake up and take a look at what Trey really is and what this team really can be together.
Yeah, count me as somebody who thinks Okongwu will replace Clint Capella, and so much so I actually picked him up in one of my fantasy basketball leagues. And I'll actually say that also to say I'm waiting on a reply from Fantrax to see if they want to do a partnership this year for fantasy basketball. Nat was in the league last year, so was Hoop Spaces Ryan, so was Malika. I told everybody in the beginning that I would beat them unmercifully, and of course, Nat, what happened?
I mean, I don't remember. It was last year. So listen,
Yeah,
he
point to that.
absolutely did win.
Didn't even do pickups, in-season pickups either.
I saw, and you know what's funny? I saw it. I saw what was going to happen because the way the league went, and how, you play somebody, the percentages, you have to have higher percentage, higher this, higher that. And, a lot of us did not look at that. And so we were winning week to week, but the percentages were too low still. So if you were winning and you had 47% from the field collectively and you beat somebody at 44, Chris had guys that were going at 51%. So when you got into the playoffs, hint, hint, your luck ran out essentially. So that's how a lot of us lost to Chris, by those categories and those stats. But next year, Chris, I got you.
All right. That's what they all say.
But I wanted to comment though on this Atlanta Hawks. No one is hating on the Hawks, especially me. I'm not hating on the Hawks. I just don't think you're as good as my team, and I think that to me that's common sense. But when you also think about the Hawks, and you're going to do the plug and play with the three, okay, plug and play with wings. That's not going to work. I'm going to be very honest. How do you match up with, Milwaukee, who they have scary talent over there? They got a guy daunting everybody named Giannis. They got Middleton. They got what's the guy is it from the Jazz, Chris, that they signed? Milwaukee.
Um,
What's that wing guy?
Joe Ingles
Joe Ingles was an
from
Joey
underrated.
Ingles.
from Portland because he was traded.
Right,
Yeah.
from Portland was traded. So that's an underrated pickup. Nobody's really talking about Milwaukee. They were already great. They got better, and no one's really talking about that. That's going to come back to bite a lot of people in the ass too. But Milwaukee, you have Boston. These are teams. I think Miami is not done, but I would still think that a couple of moves with Miami, it might push them over the edge. So I don't think you're as good as certain teams, but I think you'll be competitive. And I don't get what's the issue of just being competitive and then seeing what you have. Because if you go from uh, standpoints of roster to roster, you don't match up well with a few teams of the top tier teams. And being competitive and being better than last year, I think is a great win for y'all.
All right, I promised Jordan, and here he is, ladies and gentlemen. He put up a tweet. It's up in the jumbotron, and it's a very poignant tweet, right? They're all life seems to be dichotomous. There's always seeming to be two sides and a smaller side in the middle, right? And here I'm proposing this issue. Side A is the league is too soft. Side B, Dejounte's too aggressive. And then caught in the middle are people who literally remember basketball from the 70s and 80s. Okay. Now, I wasn't alive in the 70s. All I saw from 70s games were all on tape, but I can tell you I've seen the majority of them. And I remember growing up and watching the Bad Boy Pistons and the Celtics with my grandmother. And I remember the league carried over the same type of energy into the early 90s and was transformed at around 92, 93, in my opinion, when it really got into how they control the media. But there's your thing. Side A, too soft. Side B, too aggressive. Like, where's that middle ground that we can come together? Jordan, great tweet this morning. Good morning. Your thoughts on the Paulo versus Dejounte and Hawks, top 4 seed. Then we'll go to Hawks Fam TV with the snazzy new logo, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't noticed yet. Shout out to him. Go ahead, Jordan.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. Just to address Nat first before I forget what I was gonna say. Yeah, I mean you're completely right. I think that we can, if even if we are a second round exit, I don't think that that's a bad season or a terrible season. I don't think that this is gonna be a championship run. It could be, but most likely it won't be. We're just looking for progress and being able to build off of this new roster that we have. And ultimately, that will be decided on by DeAndre Hunter, because as you said, it is a wings league. And whether as good as he is going to determine how good probably the Hawks can go into the season. But as for the Dejounte and Paulo thing, it's confusing because, like you said, a lot of people will say, "Oh, well, I want that people going at each other. I don't want guys to be buddy buddy. I don't want guys to be friendly." But then, in the same breath, we'll see Dejounte, acting a fool in the pro-ams, and then doing what he does and being aggressive, playing hard defense, going after loose balls and stuff in pro-ams. And it's like, oh, but it's just a pro-am. But it's like, where if he's a true competitor, then he's a true competitor all the time. People would say the same thing. Oh, I want more guys that played like Michael Jordan. I want guys who have that competitive streak. They're competitive anytime, anywhere, and they're playing cards, they're playing golf, or they're playing whatever. But then somebody plays in a pro-am and they're giving it their all for the kids that are in attendance, and then it's like, oh, well, he's doing too much. He's he's lame. He's doing this. He's doing that. He's showboating. Why is he doing this? It's just a little. Well, not a little. It's a lot confusing, but it is what it is. As for the top 4 thing, I think that they could possibly be top 4, but as I said, that really depends on DeAndre Hunter. They have a lot of good pieces, but we'll have to see how those pieces mesh. I do think they're a playoff team, that they can be a top 6 seed. Top 4 might be a little tough. Milwaukee is always there. Philadelphia is always there. Boston is most likely going to be there. So it's that last spot that's kind of like who's going to be able to grab that last spot. So we'll see throughout the season. Brooklyn, their team isn't finalized yet. A lot of teams aren't finalized yet, so we'll kind of wait and see how the rosters shape up before I start to actually say who's going to be in the top 4.
All right. I look at it like this. Going into the season, you're going to have to pick anyway, right? Like, that's one thing that boggles my mind. People complain about picking, yet, like, every avenue you're forced to pick, right? So if you're sitting there and you're doing your way too early projections, if that's what you want to call them, I look at it as, do they have a chance to be a top 4 seed? Absolutely. I think they do. Do I think that they are a top 4 seed currently as constructed? No, but I could see them being a 4 through 6, having the pieces to make a trade to get a piece that will put them over the top. That's kind of how I view it. Alex from Hawks Fan TV, man, love the new logo. It's fresh. That's dope. Your thoughts on Paulo, Dejounte, and Hawks as a top 14? Appreciate it, man. Good morning.
Good morning, Chris. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, I mean, first off, shout out to Paulo. I mean, I personally think he's going to be a stud in the NBA, and I have high hopes for him. So this is no disrespect to Paulo. It was one of those things, wrong place, wrong time with the wrong person, and Dejounte Murray, and he made him look like a fool out there on the court. And for all the people that are saying, oh my God, he's such a cornball for doing this in a pro-am game, or he's doing too much this and that, you're soft. You are soft, point blank, period. I don't care if Dejounte Murray did this in a pro-am game, an NBA game, or at your local YMCA against 12-year-olds. I like these types of players. You hate them if they're not on your team. You love them if they are. Nat, you got Marcus Smart, so, I hate Marcus Smart, but I would love him on my team. Same thing with Dejounte Murray. And people are just now making light of this situation because Dejounte Murray is now on the Atlanta Hawks. But if you would have asked this question, I don't know, a month and a half ago, every team wanted Dejounte Murray once they found out he was hitting free agency. So I don't want to hear it. I can't wait. The Hawks, are they going to be a top 4 seed? I mean, the East is really competitive, so we'll see what happens. As Jordan mentioned, Philly's going to be right up there, Boston, Milwaukee, Brooklyn. If they stay intact and Ben Simmons actually plays basketball, then they could be really dangerous with those big 3. So I don't know what's going to happen. I think they definitely can be a top 5, 6 seed, top 4 seed. That is still TBD until we see how this roster shapes up and how the chemistry is looking like. But it's funny to me, Chris, because a lot of fans, a lot of the NBA media have the Hawks as, the 8 to 10 spot, which, as we all know, we finished 8th last year. And it's almost like adding another all-star who's an all-NBA defensive player, an elite playmaker, led the league in steals last year. You add that to an all-NBA player in Trae Young. Nah, the Hawks ain't going to get any better. We're going to stay the exact same. So I don't know. The logic is a little funny to me, but I love Dejounte Murray. I love the fact that he plays with this edge. And, if he was on your team, you'd be saying the same thing, but he ain't.
Yeah, I am not gonna lie. Full disclosure, I have been a Dejounte Murray fan since he was in high school. I say he is one of the only 3 players I have never traded in my 20 years plus of fantasy basketball. Because I thought going in that he was going to be the first of the wave of the new positionless lead guard. He can play the 1 through 3 guard, and if you don't know what the 3 guard is, we'll get more into how I view basketball in this season because we have more time for that. he's a difference maker in offense. He's a difference maker in defense, and he's a difference maker in transition. That's your 3 guard position, is transition. In fact, if you combine what he's able to produce, I actually have him in my top 10 all NBA players right now, believe it or not. But hey, people view the league differently. Up next, we're going to go to Malika Walker, host of The Rewind, which you can catch here with great content and great guests. Coming up, she's going to have Jeff Pearlman soon to talk about, the triad in Los Angeles between Phil Jackson, Shaquille O'Neal, and Kobe Bryant. Malika, it's great to hear you, and I know that you're getting ready for week 2. We're all behind you. Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I just wanted to say real quick, we just had a great episode with Dime Dropper and I honoring Bill Russell. I'll add it to the Jumbotron, but give it a replay. And I don't understand the replay numbers, but I'll talk to you about that offline, Chris. Next, I actually like the Hawks. And I wonder if they're trying to, what the narrative around the Hawks are going to be, whether they're going to try to make them like with Dejounte showing his personality a little bit since he left San Antonio, where they're going to like market them or frame them like the East Coast Memphis, like, like, because Memphis being that team that everybody wants to take it to, and then you have Atlanta with Dejounte acting the way he's acting. That'll be interesting. But I
The only
actually.
difference, Malika, is Memphis is fake tough. Dejounte about that life.
I love Hawks Fan TV, the
Already,
propaganda.
he's
You could give a class on how to keep the agenda going for your team. Period. Like if once they put on that jersey, it's a wrap. Like they take off that jersey, bye. Like I actually understand I understand the method. Like Hawks, period. You ain't a Hawk, goodbye. So I respect it. But I say all that to say Cleveland. I'm curious of what they're going to do this season. They got 2 7-footers. They got Darius Garland. They got some weapons. Like I'm not out on. I think Cleveland could be, they stay healthy. They could be a reasonable. They could be a reasonable team, a reasonable threat in the Eastern Conference. I'm curious of what they're going to do. I think Boston, Milwaukee, those are, like I'm curious of Philly because of Harden's been looking. He's been working out and been looking good in the off season. So I'd be curious to see him with the Philly next year. But I'm not out on Cleveland, even though I do like the Hawks and my Nets. We'll, yeah, my Nets. I mean, we have the big three. We'll
that is
be in there, but it's not about them. I'm just curious about Cleveland and where do you see them next season?
Um, I see them as far as Colin Sexton improves them. If Colin Sexton comes back and he's the 23 point per game, 3.5 assist steal, then that is a very dangerous team. But if he's not back, then you're basically begging GD Osman to carry that second unit with Kevin Love.
I could see that. I could see that.
That's scary. But what I
They
will
don't even
say,
have a 3, Chris. They're Laurie Markkinen is the de facto 3, but he can't. That's not his position.
I don't think. I mean, he played it last year, and he's in there because he was in there last year. I don't think he starts at the 3. I think he's going to end up coming off the bench because I don't think Kevin Love is going to be able to do what Kevin Love did last year. And as much as I like Dean Wade ain't Kevin Love. As much as I love Robin Lopez, funniest player in the NBA, he ain't Robin Lopez at 32, right? So I think Laurie's going to end up coming off the bench. And I actually think they start Gidi, and I think that would probably be their best lineup. And Gidi's a legit 6'8", probably 6'8 1/4", with a 6'10" wingspan, so he'd still fit in with that length and width.
But he sucks, though, Chris. Let's be honest.
He can't score. All right, but like, remember Andre Karolinko? Like, think that he could be like Andre Karolinko.
He doesn't have the same defensive upside.
No, but he has a better facilitating upside. Like, gosh, like I'm trying to be positive, and you up here just ripping teams,
As
man.
Nat likes to say, it's a wings league, and Cleveland is missing the biggest thing, and that is that wing at the 3 spot.
Well, neither one of y'all are beating my team, so I don't care. But what I was gonna say, Chris, was Cleveland Atlanta 7-game series. Who you got?
Well, we could get that in a little bit later because we're still on the Hawks as the top 4. We can't get enough answers for that. Up next, well, we got Jay Nicky from the Knicks Wall. We got we got Napoleon, the Danny D. I want to thank everybody for coming in. It is now the 11 o'clock hour on the East Coast, wherever you are across the world. Thank you for popping in. We appreciate it. If you want a mic, go ahead and grab it. I'll start cycling some people off and on the next 15 minutes. Up next, though, Jay Nicky, Rookie of the Year last year, did so damn good. He got a job over at the Knicks Wall with I Hate Sean. Jay Nicky, what's up, man? Your thoughts on Dejounte versus Paulo, W playoffs, and if anything else, man? Go ahead.
Good morning, Chris. It's been a minute, man. I've been busy, but always appreciate you and what you do for your for the people that love basketball. Shout out Malika. I'll touch briefly on the W playoffs. I have not been able to keep up with this season. I've watched more of this season than I have in the past, but Malika put me on to my liberty and why we've been struggling playoff outlooks as well. So I appreciate you, Malika, because I am very ignorant when it comes to W basketball, and I'm not ashamed to say that. But I'm growing. I'm trying to get better. In regards to the Paulo versus Dejounte thing, I like Dejounte Murray. I've always liked Dejounte Murray. I cannot say I'm a fan of what's going on though right now. I just can't. Everyone's like, it's just trash. It's trash talk, this and that, and it would have been just that if it didn't pour out until after the game as well. The whole back and forth between both of them on Instagram, and then it's also just what he's been doing to non-basketball players as well. That I'm just like, it's just weird. Like, bro, you're a professional throwing the ball off people's heads and their back. Like, there was the one clip that happened 2 weeks ago where he literally like threw the ball into dude's back 3 times consecutively before driving past him. And then I woke up this morning, there's one where this guy, it looked like Ty Jerome. I don't think it was Ty Jerome, though. Went up for a layup, fell on the ground. Dejounte grabbed the rebound, bounced it off his head, and then pushed the fast break. It's like, dude, what are you doing?
Hold on. I got a couple questions, right? Have you been on the Pro-Am circuit?
Nah.
All right, so there's a difference between your regular type of Pro-Ams, right? Like, most people have this view of Pro-Ams being like a golf Pro-Am. You know, you get the professional golfers and some professional athletes and actors, and they go out, or they see the halftime show at the All-Star game, or they remember Rock and Jock. Remember the Rock and Jock basketball?
Yeah.
That ain't the circuit, bro. Like, Pro-Am circuit is a step above the silent run games or the quiet games, depending on where you're from. You call it a different thing. Like, these hoopers are the hoopers who are hooping ahead of everybody else, and they couldn't make the league, right? Some of them played overseas. Some of them played in the smaller semi-pro leagues. But, like, all of these dudes would walk into the Y and drop 30 on most dudes at that Y, wherever you hoop, right? So, like, the circuit is legit balling. And there's a group of younger players who are saying, hey, they want this show. Let's give them this show. And like, that was very much the mentality of like Dr. J. And then we kind of went through a PC 20-year period because everything had to be kid gloves. That was the David Stern put him in suits era. Now, as the tundra has thawed, we are getting flavor back in the league. And that's what I think we're seeing. And it's just that he did it in a very vociferous way. Go ahead and finish the thought. I want to put that in here.
Matt, I'm not like saying, like, my whole thing is it's not awesome, like, oh my gosh, that's like, you're doing too much now. It's more so just like, yo, bro, like, are you good? Like, why do you keep doing this? But to say more so on topic of the whole Paulo thing, I think is, and people just are always just basketball, but like you could tell it's not. Like the way Dejounte reacted off the all outside of the game, like talking about, oh, you used to rebound for me. Like you just know it's more than just basketball in those regards. And then when Hawks fan TV talking about he made Paolo look dumb, he really didn't though. That's the thing. That's the part that I need people to understand. Like Dejounte didn't make Paolo look dumb at all. Paolo, I didn't see the box score, but I see a lot of people talking about Paolo dropped 40 and got the W. So who really looked dumb? Like that's my point. And then you're sending double teams the whole game. There's a clip of Paulo putting Dejounte on the ground. Like Paulo didn't look dumb. And if you go enough through Twitter, the person that looks dumb is Dejounte, mostly on Twitter. Like no one's over here talking about Paulo. Everybody's talking about Dejounte. That's my point on it. I don't like people saying that you're soft if you don't like this. I just think it's for someone who's been in the league 6 years to go after a rookie. Like if y'all have beef, settle that on your own time. Like don't try to make a mockery of him on a public platform on some personal beef. If it was just basketball beef, that's different. But like if it's public beef, handle that on your own.
Well, I think also part of the problem is we don't. There's the unwritten rule aspect. Seth can talk a little bit about this. When you are the first pick, you are the first pick, but you are still a rookie, right? And there is a measurable amount of expectations, regardless of whether you're the first pick or in this case the 59th. And you might have missed earlier. There's a whole backstory, and you got to go back to 2019 with Paulo and Dejounte. Said we're going to get you in here for your thoughts. We got Napoleon after you down below. Rico Suave from 77 Spaces joined us, but I want to give a couple of shout outs before we continue. First up is the leader of Heat Spaces, that's Justin Fitt. If you love Miami, and let me tell you, like it's so bad, people are calling me a Heat fan. I'm not a Heat fan. He even got involved in that. That was just really weird behavior. But check out Justin over at Heat Spaces, doing a lot of collabs this season with a whole bunch of Heat content creators. K. Lou is in the building, ladies and gentlemen. You can catch the Women's Basketball Podcast 9450 with him, Daniel Artest, and 808s and Snack Breaks. Everybody give it up for 808s and Snack Breaks. Linking up with two of the best dudes in women's basketball. Big things coming your way from the 9450 crew. If he wants to come on up and give his thoughts, we'll give him some time. Said, been a minute. Hope you're doing well. Speak your piece, and then Napoleon, pick it up after Said.
Hey, what's up, my man? Chris, I appreciate everything you're doing. This is great stuff. Great topic. I only have a couple things to say. I've been watching, I've been watching a lot of. It's crazy too because I could see a lot more of the pro-am league, and people are getting to see a lot more interaction. And I just don't think people have ever seen this before. So it gets wild at pro-am. There's a lot of people who are from different backgrounds who just didn't make it to the league, but they can cook. And so there's a lot of people who go back and forth at it. So I don't really have too much of a problem with Dejounte beefing. It's just the way that he's doing it. I get why he's doing it though. And so this is kind of, not many people recognize this, but Paulo is a great dude. He's a great kid, and he's got a presence, and he projects himself a bit bigger than I think people are saying he should be at. They're like, okay, you just a rookie. You need to, calm down and go earn that. And I think it rubs people the wrong way. It's kind of like LeBron. Like LeBron talks all the time, and LeBron is always kind of projecting himself like that. And Paulo, they grow up watching that. So that's kind of how he talks. He talks like he's been in the league for 10 years. But the man cooks. So I'm not really sure what Dejounte's workload is going to be this year. I know everybody talk about the Hawks got this, the Hawks got that. I don't know, man. Both of them guards weigh like 50 pounds. So, I mean, they're gonna be some heat, but they got to work to it. So I truly appreciate it. It is funny though. Whoever came up the last, he hit the nail on the head. It's the way that Dejounte is doing things. It's one thing to like kind of to ball out and be a little bit demonstrative about it, but he's doing things that you get socked in the face for. Like it's not he ain't even doing things that are like cool to watch. It's like really you look at it, you're like, man, why is somebody lay this nigga out? Like
Facts,
what
facts.
is he do? Why is he hitting people that way? It's just how he do it. I play with people who they kind of funny about it. They score and they throw the ball at you, but this dude is like looking like he's really wants to fight people, which I think he was in San Antonio for so long, and Atlanta is you prime time now. So I don't really got any beef against that or why he's doing it. It's just he's doing it in such a way that is kind of like it reminded me of Russell Westbrook, like when he was in Oklahoma City. Like Russell Westbrook would do that type of stuff, like really bogart you. But Russell Westbrook looked like he bench pressed 350. So that's why it looks normal when he does it. But when Dejounte do it, it looked like, come on, man, you may get laid out. But I like that. I like the point that you made about these young kids bringing a different type of flavor back to the NBA, because that is what they're doing. They're bringing more aggressive, more. The league ain't gonna let us have these rivalries, so we have to kind of quote unquote invent them. But I think it's all fun and games, and I think he'll learn his lesson once he gets cooked on social media for a couple of weeks and he sees these replays. Like, dude, what exactly are you doing? Anyway, that's all I got on that. The only thing I'll leave everybody with is, yeah, you're talking about all these other teams, but the Timberwolves got Rudy Gobert, and that's all they needed. That's all they needed. Everybody talking about what's he gonna do? Play defense and block shots. And
Hey,
I'm done, man. That's all they needed. They needed
well,
somebody to play some defense. Good God.
before you go, this is and I'm glad you're here because I think you'll appreciate this. Somebody asked me this morning what Dejounte reminds me of now, and I'm like, oh, perfect combination of Stephen Marbury and Latrell Sprewell.
Yeah. He's
Like,
great. He's great. He's a ball. Like, I don't think people give him enough credit. That kid can ball, man. He's got some game.
and he's got the attitude.
And he does have the attitude. So that's why I'm like, I'm not that mad at what he did, because I mean, yeah, it's corny. I got to give it to him. Like, it's people are lighting him up rightfully, because it's real corny how he's doing it. Like, dude, you don't have any champion. Like, if you got 60 championships and that's just I would expect Michael Jordan to do something like this, because he's that kind of a hole. Like, hey man, who do you think you are to guard me? But I'm like, okay man, you got some game.
You
Um,
is saying more Remil Robinson than he is. You remember him?
Yeah, I do. He's got game, man. I don't think I think people will be surprised by the Hawks, but I don't know if they got enough work to make it out the East. But we'll see. We'll see.
Appreciate it, sir. You got anything you want to share with the people where they want to see what you're doing next?
Yeah, I'm still working, behind the scenes. I still work with all the NBA teams. I work with a couple of NFL teams. But yeah, you could check out you could check me out. You could always follow me on Twitter. I share some things that I'm working on. But yeah, if anybody else is working on anything that needs some type of love, or hey, they want to get into, one thing I've been working on is helping more people get into sports positions. So if you're trying to get into social media sports positions, or if you're trying to get in with the team, I do a lot of work behind the scenes, just trying to help individuals, either get their game up or just start to understand how these things work. Like, hey, you want to work with a pro team? Here's what you got to do to get there.
All right, there you go.
Definitely shooting you a follow. ASAP.
Yeah, one of the best follows you can have on Twitter, because he understands what Twitter is. Like, that's key. Like, if you want a healthy mental health and business life and a work life balance, like, Seth gets it. Like, you should just follow him for that alone. Up next, we're going to go to an old friend, Napoleon. Napoleon, it's been a minute. How you doing, brother?
I can't complain. I'm still breathing. Said definitely shot you a follow. Hi Nat, long time no hear from.
30 seconds.
Damn, man. Clock's ticking, bro. 30 seconds.
Look. She can't mute me today. Nah. The whole Dejounte thing, like, I think people are blowing it out of proportion because the league over the past however many years has been kumbaya. I want to play together. Let's create the monsters. Like that's what the league is come to. I follow the pro-am circuit, and guys are gonna go at one another.
Sorry, Chris.
Yo, that's so wrong. Oh. You shouldn't have said she couldn't mute you today, Napoleon. You walked into that one. Do you even know you're muted? You don't even know you're muted. Uh-oh. That got
No,
to.
actually, I did. I saw the co-host, and I was just waiting for it to say unmuted.
All right. Well, you're unmuted.
But as far as the pro-am stuff, like, the league has to get away from being kumbaya. Like, there's no storyline anymore when it comes to, okay, this player and this player are gonna, like, we used to circle certain matchups because we knew, oh, they're going to go at each other. And I don't care if y'all friends off the court, but on the court, I'm trying to bust your tail. Like, that's the era I came from. As far as the Hawks, I have them depending on, again, health and around the league. I have them anywhere between the 3 and 6. That's where I do, because there's literally 6 teams fighting for the top 4. So Boston has turmoil because they don't know what they're going to do as far as keeping Brown and him feeling the type of way because he's on the chopping block. Philly, they figure a way to Philly it up. Brooklyn, is as the world turns, we'll figure that out eventually. Milwaukee, if they can stay healthy, they'll be a threat. So Atlanta is in this prove it stage because 2 years ago they were in the Eastern Conference Finals. Last year, they kind of hit the 8th seed. So this is that season for them to say, hey, we're knocking on the doorstep. I think so. I have them anywhere between the 3 and the 6.
All right. We'll come back. Ladies and gentlemen, shoot Napoleon a follow. He's absolutely hilarious when he hosts his spaces, rooms on Clubhouse. Up next, we're going to hear from a couple other people who have yet to speak. They just came up on stage. We'll go to Rico Suave next. He's host of 77 Spaces with Speak On It, Rolo, and Scammer Sultan. We give everybody reads and stuff. Like, let me tell you what 77 Spaces really is, right? It's not just the best Mavs space. It's a space where 3 strangers of 3 different backgrounds were able to get together and respect each other and host a room that other fans could come in and share their views and opinions regardless of what they are in life, right? Like, I tell my son a simple rule. Treat the other people in your life the way that you want to be treated. It doesn't matter what religion you are. It doesn't matter what culture you are. It doesn't matter what ethnicity you are. You give everybody a voice. You protect everybody's ability to have that voice, even if you don't agree with them. And you know what? The Dallas Mavericks fan, I tell you, they do not agree with each other. Yet they can agree to show up to 77 spaces and have a good time. Jose, great job this past season. Can't wait to see what you three have. Looking forward to. And shout out to all the Mavs fans who entered this amazing contest where you're essentially buying somebody a copy of NBA 2K23 that comes with a full season subscription to League Pass. Go ahead, Jose. Floor is yours.
Good morning, Chris. Good to have you back, man. Every day last week, I was just like, damn, where is Chris at? Like, and then I seen that you were in the woods, and I was like, damn, I still need some hoop spaces in my life, you know. Uh, it was. It's always interesting hearing somebody else's takes on basketball, especially when they're throwing physics into the game basketball, and I'm just like, what the hell is Chris talking about? But I digress. I hope everybody's doing well in the space. You know what's crazy is that with me, Jazz, and Rolo, is that we are essentially strangers, and we've gotten together and basically made a really great space for Mavs fans to come in and talk. And I was just going over with Rolo talking about how we kind of need to just like talk to each other because I'm tired of all the math talk. Tired of being asked the same talking points about, oh, where do you think this team? I don't give a fuck. It's the off season, man. Enjoy it. Rest. You ain't gotta stress about this shit until the season starts. So we're gonna have a looser episode on Wednesday when we come back, and I'm about to prepare the list for next week of the 15 people that are going to enter the giveaway, and we're gonna randomize the names, and the number one person will get a copy of 2K23 Championship Edition. Like Chris said, comes with NBA League Pass. So if you've been a part of 77 Spaces from the beginning. You've been a day one. Most likely your name is entered. Seeing a lot of people come out the woodworks like, oh, I'm interested. Okay, join the fucking space. Just like you should be liking and retweeting hoop spaces every fucking day. Uh, you, we don't show no half-ass love around here. You either down with it or you ain't. Uh, Pretty much what I had to say about Dejounte and Paulo. Love the energy. We need some more rivalries in the NBA. I really don't care about the buddy buddy aspect. Like, as long as you could be respectful about it and show up when you need to show up. That's all. We as fans aren't asking for malice and palace, but we ain't asking for Marvel like one liners all the time when we see NBA games. And that's my time, Chris.
All right, and just to let you know, one of the things that I plan on writing, because I'll start having writing content, just like I do talk here. I'll add in some physics in terms of the actual game of basketball. Like for instance, there are at least six forces you actually have to account for when just dribbling the basketball, right? At least six. You have speed, spin, gravity, right? You have the drag force, the buoyant force, and the Magnus force. And that's just dribbling. Like that doesn't even count, backspin or not backspin. Like there's a whole bunch of different things that we can just get into. And anyway, I'll stop talking. TD, I didn't forget about you. You are also yet to speak. Up next, though, we got Edwin Garcia covering the Lakers and Sparks. Sparks with the must-win game, pulled it out at the end, 79-76. Edwin Garcia, talk about it.
Man, oh man, how's it going, Chris? Appreciate being on the floor here. Yeah, the Sparks story has been just madness, all season, and they're now at the stage, where they have to win every single game to hopefully, luckily, get the 8th and final playoff spot. So that's what they did. I will be honest, I was like, they're not going to win this game. And they surprised me. They came out with all the energy they possibly could. Still not playing Kennedy Carter. I tried to get that answer questions, and I pretty much got it's a coach's decision response. So we'll have to wait to see if we ever hear why the player they traded a 2022 first-round draft pick for is now a DMP with no injuries. But yeah, it's been definitely not a boring season with the Sparks, and somehow they're still here. They're technically one game better than last year, and they have 3 home games coming up this week, including Sunday, and that's the season. So they have to win every single game if they want an opportunity to make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Kennedy. I don't understand why she's not playing, especially when she's arguably the best individual creator on the team. But the real brass tacks, do the Sparks have enough to make it into that last playoff spot?
To be honest, I don't think so. I think it's too hard to beat the Connecticut Sun back to back, which is what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to beat them Tuesday and I believe Thursday, both home games, which is a plus. But I just think that's too skilled of a team to have to beat twice. We saw the New York Liberty barely beat the Sparks on back-to-backs, and that came down to one was a blowout and one was a last-second kind of collapse from the Sparks. So I think it's a lot to ask them to do that. And even if they do that, there are teams in front of them. There are teams like the Liberty who have the tiebreaker. So they will also have to maybe get help. I think if they win the 3 games, that puts them at 16. That might be enough that you don't need help, but you still might need help because, again, there's a couple teams in front of them, and a couple teams in front of them also have the tiebreaker on them. So they're in a tough spot. They have to win out, and then hopefully 1 or 2 breaks go their way, and they get that spot. But if I had to bet, I'm going to say no because they have to run the table, and they might still need help. And I think that's a lot to ask with only 3 games left.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. So I want to look into the off season, while we can, and we'll have another off season space anyway. But first impressions, new GM, new head coach, new vision, or keep the same players minus Liz, get an established coach and try to run it back?
Oh no, this thing's gotta blow up. I think that there's so many problems. They need more bigs. They need more guards. They have a lot of guards in the same level, which is like an excellent backup. And I feel like that's just not, it's kind of like having multiple quarterbacks. If you have multiple quarterbacks, that means you don't have one, right? They don't have a dominant, this is our point guard, this is our shooting guard, this is our 4, this is our 5. Obviously, Nneka's amazing, and they should definitely bring her back. And I like Shanae a lot, too. She stepped up well with Liz's absence before she injured herself with a blow to her head. So those 2 players I really like. And I do like most of our guards, but I don't like any of them more than the other one. And it's always kind of like a Goldilocks thing. This one has defense. This one has offense. This one has shooting. But no one has everything. So you end up in a spot where if you would commit to one, you'll sacrifice something else that's also equally important. So I think they'll have to decide as an organization with the new general manager, whoever that will be, who they are willing to say, okay, I'm rolling with this person, and then the ones you're going to get rid of because you're going to bring in someone else. I definitely am interested in Skylar Diggins-Smith. I think that's a person who's unsatisfied in Phoenix and is a star and is an incredible guard that would automatically come in and be the best guard they've had in quite some time. I think they're likely to make a trade like that. And I think there will be in the WNBA, you see less rebuilding because the league's so competitive, because the player pool is so much smaller. It's more like retooling. So I think it's more of a retool because they're still not too far away from at least being middle of the pack. If you're the 8th seed in a league that's only 12 teams and the top 4 are extremely strong, you can get to that 5 or 6 pretty easily. So I think they'll do something like that, something like a retool, keeping Nneka and then seeing if they can get an all-star guard.
The whole league is interested in Sky Dig.
Well, not the whole league. There are 2 teams that are definitely
outside
not
of what 2 teams. The other 10 are
Yeah. Well, you said see. You know what?
I know, but my point still stands.
You can't say the whole league if you know it's not the whole league.
Oh man, oh brother. But I get your point. Sky Dig is good.
It's the first day of school. You gotta come with it.
The first day of school. I should not at 11:27 a.m. have to correct somebody. My son is not here, Akil.
Maybe. God damn.
Ah. No, I literally just corrected my son like right when we were walking out the door because he said a declarative statement that was factually inaccurate.
The school
So,
in Indiana starts at next month in beginning of August.
well, the public schools start August 3rd. I get an extra week. He started today.
That is crazy.
A few
Well,
are starting in California today too. I can confirm. So yeah, it starts early now.
it starts early. Like they got rid of snow days. Snow days no longer mean anything. So they just extended the regular school year. And they at this point double teachers' salaries and make the shit year long. Like we're tired. They don't get paid enough. We don't have enough because they don't get paid enough. And then you give us like 7 arbitrary weeks in the hottest months of the year where everybody's going to the same damn place. How about you just give us year round schools and then we can live our lives? How about that?
Kids would hate that.
TD first, then the kill.
What's up, man? Good
What's
morning, everyone.
Cool,
in regards to the Dejounte thing, I'm not gonna lie, as an Atlanta fan, I have been seeing the videos and stuff, and he's telling Paulo to be humble. But if I'm being honest, if there's one motherfucker that has not been humble this summer, it's Dejounte, which is hilarious. But that being said, I think it's about time, like, we see this attitude and this fire between two stars. And I know Paulo's like not a certified star yet, but he was a number 1 pick, so he's expected to be a star. So, but it's about time we saw that this kind of like, grit on the court. And so personally, I don't mind it. I'm happy to see Dejounte, really expressing some emotion now. And all I know is that Trey and Dejounte are about to be in a lot of motherfuckers' heads. So
all right. I vividly remember the change in tone of the league from Boston, Detroit, and LA to Chicago and New York, and then New York and Miami, and then the Spurs, right? Like the league tries to set a pretty consistent tone. And what I think is when you get to the end of a cycle, and we are at the end of a cycle, we are closer to the end of LeBron James's career than we are to him continuing to play. And that is the league cycle. For almost 20 years, he has been the driving force of the tone of the NBA. Maybe not the highest point, that's probably Steph, but the most consistent tone for the league has been LeBron James. And when you get to the end, that's when you get the boisterous younger players. You had Stephen Marbury challenging Michael Jordan. You had Allen Iverson crossing up Michael Jordan and talking about it, right? You had Jason Williams doing it in the Western Conference. So, like, this is natural. And then I think once we start settling in on who the next wave of the players setting the tone for the league, we'll start seeing a more consistent approach by all players. Appreciate it, TD. Let Akil go, then Edwin will pop back in real quick. We'll reset the room. We're 90 minutes in. Thank you, everybody. Good morning.
Man, W playoff basketball is around the corner, which is super exciting. Can't wait for that. I just feel like this year is a crash course for Chicago, Vegas. I see nobody really like touching those two teams. Um, they're just quite simply better than everybody else, by a pretty kind of substantial margin too. I would kind of want to add. But this year, the one thing I'm excited about the most is a format change. We finally get 3 games in the first round instead of the normal just 1, which is really, really nice because last year we had a ton of fun games in the first game that just kind of ended. But now we get those as 3-game series. I sadly had to watch Sue Bird play her last game at home. That made me kind of upset. But Stewie is just on a whole nother level this year. I mean, she probably won't win MVP, but she is playing at an MVP level. Ezzy's been fun. This whole year has been fun for Seattle as well. But man, playoffs are going to be exciting. Sadly, Chicago and Vegas are probably going to meet, and I'll go Chicago. But the playoffs will be fun to watch this year. That is for sure. I want to see if New York can squeeze in too. I like that. New York in the playoffs would be nice as well.
Well, I already have said that I need the Liberty to not win.
Why
And
is that?
like, yeah, you haven't been around enough lately. Like the Liberty, I personally buoyed the Liberty by going after the seafoam green color and their social media campaign this year, and they responded by starting to win, and then they took that inertia and they did nothing with it. It's like they made peanut butter cookies. Like just a waste of time, effort, and energy and ingredients. And now we have to wait until the last 3 games or 2 games for them. Is it 3 or 2 for the season just to find out that they're not going to get in here? Nat, go ahead and get in here. Then Edwin, do a quick reset with some shout outs, and we'll give Malika Walker some extra time, ladies and gentlemen, to talk about the New York Liberty. Thank you, everybody. Good morning. All right, maybe Nat got disconnected. Edwin, go ahead, and then we'll do a quick reset and thank all the wonderful people and give some shout outs because there's a few people that need them.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Yeah, basically the only thing I wanted to say about the whole Dejounte Murray thing is, it's just, to me, it's just so corny. Again, you're in these pro-ams and you're hot dogging it, and it's a rookie player. To me, it's just a little bit childish, but it is what it is. If you want to ball out at the pro-am, go drop 70. That's all you got to do. Go drop 70 and just show that you're dominant. You don't have to be. I'll tell you what. I'm not the toughest guy in the world, but if you bounce the ball on my head, I'm not playing basketball anymore. You're getting socked in the mouth. I'm not gonna get embarrassed. You can show me bouncing, getting the ball bounce my head, then I sock you, and then it's a brawl, and it's like, okay, that's the end of the video, because I'm not about to have you embarrass me like that. You can score on me, that's all good. That's basketball. You're gonna take it beyond that, then that's just ridiculous. So that's the thing to me. And the whole like, oh, we're getting back to being tough and that. I'm like, I think, and I think, I don't. Maybe Chris will agree, maybe he'll disagree. I think we romanticize the past as being something that was better, and I can show you plenty of evidence of Jordan playing golf with the Celtics after a game. Magic and Larry Bird. We know they've done plenty of commercials and we're selling the league. So yeah, they were competitive and they were going at each other's throats on the court. But I think we have this whole romanticized. They would never talk to each other. They would never. Yeah, he wouldn't even have his phone number. He'd never call him. Never, never. He just wanted to kill him. I'm like, okay, look, they're playing basketball. They're competing on the court. But once the clock hits 0, a lot of these guys are cool. A lot of these guys talk to each other. It's normal. It's not like on the court, Draymond's gonna, alley-oop it to LeBron when they're on the opposite teams. They're going at each other, and then afterwards, they're buddy. It's okay. You can have 2 separate ideas and execute on both at separate times. They don't have to be one or the other. I can't think of a team where I'm like, oh yeah, you know why they won? Because they didn't talk to the other guys. That's why they're champions. Like, you're champions because you compete well and you're better than the other team. That's all you have to be. You can still be best friends with them and compete with them. I mean, we do those kinds of things with our friends and our peers and our family all the time where we really want to beat them at stuff. And we do that, and we still care for them. It's not that hard of a concept. So I'm not looking at this as anything other than just some silliness. I am curious because I've been a big Dejounte Murray fan as well, and I don't remember this kind of attitude before. So that's something that definitely sparks like my interest in like what's he going to be like all season, and is this getting unlocked from the Spurs like people say about the Patriot way and that kind of thing. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, Chris, and that's all I got to say.
Oh, I absolutely, I agree 100%. There is an over romanticization of past basketball. I'm guilty of it to an extent. I think I don't do it as bad as everybody else. That's just me. But there definitely is. I'm a big proponent of Otis Thorpe being in the Hall of Fame, right? I've got my argument for it. The longevity and consistency in of itself is a skill, and he did it phenomenal. And he produced over 15 years of starter level basketball and made an all-star game. However, Like, I understand that he's not going to make it because he was Otis Thorpe, right? But to say that that period of basketball was better is kind of disingenuous. Like, basketball as a sport, just like any other sport, will evolve. And the league is the primary centerpiece of the evolution. And let me tell you, in business and in natural life, going outside of physics and just going into natural sciences, if you don't evolve, you die, right? So, like, if we were still playing basketball the way it was played in the 50s and 60s, none of us are here right now at 11:38 this morning talking NBA and WNBA basketball. Like, let's be honest. All right. I want to thank everybody down below for coming in. There's some people I wanted to say what's up, and maybe they had to bounce out. Optimistic Pels fan is here. You got to catch Open Mic Spaces. He runs a great show where you can come in with your musical content and share it. You can also come in like if you were me, and what I did, and do some stand up. I did a couple of monologues. They went over well. People were laughing, and as y'all are shaking your head, I don't believe it. Well, you know what? Show up and maybe you'll hear it and find out next time. Pickup card game. Thanks to you for the donation to Vincent's tuition. I am just forever grateful. Same thing to Yankees Pride. Same thing to Rolo and those who have been able to pitch in. If you have any idea of what pickup card game is, that's because you are a basketball fan, right? And you gravitate towards other basketball fans. But what we need is for you who already know what the pickup card game is to go tell other people what the pickup card game is, because that's how we grow. And everybody here, I challenge you just to say, hey, check this out. Pick up a copy, play with a friend, and I guarantee you'll more than likely convince your friend to go ahead and pick up a copy, unless they're just going to mooch off of you, which is fine because apparently you already have that relationship. Shout out to darling Nikki Face, the thick church girl. The Oakland A's are not as good as the Baltimore Orioles, who are above 500. Shout out to the O's. All right. Thanks, everybody. It's good to be back. I may or may not do one tomorrow. I definitely won't do one Wednesday, but we definitely will do Thursday and Friday. And then we'll be back to our Monday through Friday schedule starting next week, getting ready for the opening of the next NBA season. But to talk some W and the Liberty, Malika Walker, ladies and gentlemen. Malika, thank you.
Thank you. I actually wanted to start off by talking about the Sparks because, like Edwin, you're my friend. I like you, but I need you to ask questions about when it comes to Kennedy. Is there a reason why y'all are like why isn't she playing? I mean, she's extremely talented. There is no doubt about that. But are we going to talk about her attitude, her off the court issues, and what could be going on behind the scenes with the Sparks with Kennedy? Um, I think she's extremely talented, but it has to be a reason. It's not just she just sitting there and for no reason. It has to be a reason. I think what Kennedy needs is she needs an organization that will allow her to just be her, do her, and allow her to flourish. Maybe give her a coach that understands her more, or something. Maybe the Sparks aren't. They're about to go into an off season where you have Slim, Shanae, and NECA as universal free agents. Tolliver, she may go into coaching. Like, this is a pivotal off season. Jordan Canada, like, there's a lot in flux going on there. And if they're going to build around Kennedy, they have a lot of decisions to make. So I think it's you're pressed, but like, I feel like with press, y'all need to dig a little deeper here, because it's not just he's just not playing her. Like, there's something else going on there, because like, she came from Atlanta. Remember, like, we know the reports that happened there. Like, it's not like we're dealing with a player who has no history. So it's more than just, oh, she's just sitting there. So I need like press to really ask those hard pressed questions on what's going on with Kennedy, because she is a prized. She is I think she's an amazing player, but it has to be something else for such an amazing player to not hit the court. Um, but this offseason is going to be something else for the Sparks, and I'm going to be watching this because I need to see where Slim goes, because she's outside of NECA, she's my favorite player on the Sparks. Um, Next with the Liberty, I mean, I'm really worried about us losing Natasha Howard. She was really in pain the last game, and we got Benija back, but I feel like we didn't play hard that entire game. Like, we needed that Mercury game. The Mercury, even though they didn't have Sky, and they didn't have DT, they played with urgency on both sides of the floor. They were clicking on all cylinders, and we just did not look like we were in it. The whole from Sabrina to Benija, everybody, we didn't look good. Natasha, it just wasn't there. So, I mean, if we don't make it into the playoffs, it's our own doing. Of being on and off all season. I'm on the crown. I'm going to be on the crown forever. But um, yeah, that last game was really crucial for a tiebreaker. While we have the tiebreaker over the Sparks, we do not have the tiebreaker over Phoenix. So thanks to last game. So yay. So with the Liberty, like we have a game tonight against Dallas, that's pivotal also. We'll see how they come out. We'll see how they do. But Natasha Howard, we lost her. That's an issue I don't think we can overcome. Um, but in terms of old school NBA, real quick, I personally love old school NBA, which is why I have the rewind, which goes into the history of the NBA. I also love today's NBA, but I'm a person that respects the eras in which people play, and I respect all eras. I feel like today's fans don't respect the eras like they should, and I feel like some history people don't respect. People need to respect players and keep to me and respect the eras in which they play instead of disrespecting the other era. And that's all I got right now.
All right. No, I agree. I think that a lot of players today, much like we do, kind of comparative to our parents and grandparents, think that they are better. And an instance is they kind of are. They have better training, better access, more time to specialize. Like, these are all real things, right? And the issue then becomes, well, how do you create equitable representation? Because this is where the argument really actually exists, is equitable representation. And the only thing you can do is find people who have the ability to talk about basketball and scale it, in a fair manner. And that's what the rewind looks to do. So make sure you shoot Malika a follow and tap in. Edwin, she called you by name, so go ahead and respond, and we'll go to Dougie Fresco and then Jordan.
I thought you were about to say she called me out. I was like, yeah, I didn't have me and Malika beefing on the bingo card today.
No, I just mean I'm coming at you as a journalist, not really as Edwin, but you cover the Sparks, and I
That's
feel
even
like
worse. That's what I take pride in, Malika. I'd rather you come at me.
I
No,
love
I'm
you,
playing. I'm
Edwin. But
playing.
when it comes to Kennedy, the coverage on Kennedy, like, she's an amazing talent, one of the most amazing talents in the W. If she's not playing, it has to be behind something else going on there. She's not
Yeah. So
sitting there like just to sit.
yes. So to give you an update, I did ask 2 games ago. When they, for those who don't know, I think Malika does know, but just for everyone else, when they're on the road because of COVID and all that, we're not traveling, obviously. I work as a beat writer for Swish Appeal, and I cover the Sparks beat, so I'm at every home game. Road games, I'm not there, but we do the interviews via Zoom, and that's how it works. I get a Zoom link, and I jump in, ask questions, we jump out, right? So I was part of the. I did jump on the Zoom call. The loss prior to the win against who they just play. I just lost my train of thought. After the Liberty game, after the second Liberty game, I called and I asked that question. I said, I'm paraphrasing my own question, but I basically just said, "Hey, I noticed, Kenny Carr didn't play. There's no injury on the report. She got a DMP coach's decision. Can you talk to me behind the rationale of why you didn't play her?" And his answer was very short. He said it was the coach's decision. And he just basically moved on. And since it was a Zoom, I couldn't really request my mic back. So that was about the end of it.
You couldn't follow
So
up. I think
yeah,
it's bull, like how this is being handled. Like, put it out
yeah.
there. Why isn't she playing? Like, it's a bigger reason. And I think
No,
people
for
keep
sure, for sure.
enabling her. They're not helping her by hiding why she's not playing and having it like, oh, they're just sitting her and the sparks are off. There's something else going on here, and I want to see her play, but I feel like
Yeah.
there's something that's not being revealed.
So there definitely is, especially for those who don't know, the Sparks are very injured right now. Liz Cambage literally left the team. And then the kind of kick in the crotch was also then Sinead got injured. So they're down two bigs, one left forever, one's injured. Chrissy Tolliver is injured. So they're running an 8-player rotation, not because they're running a tight shift and it's the playoffs. That's all they have. So the fact that Kennedy Carter is not playing is ridiculous because they don't have any other players there. So it's very clear something else must be going on because they desperately need that guard play, and they're not allowing her there.
And and she's their best player. I mean, I love Syke, I love Slim, but skill wise, Kennedy is probably one of the top 2 players on that team. So and one of the top players in the league in terms of skill. So yeah, something, and everybody says that. So everybody knows that, but she's still not playing. So yes, something's going on.
Yeah, I think unfortunately, and I haven't said it because I don't like saying it. She's starting to be called the Kyrie of the W, and I definitely don't want that for her.
I don't want that framing, but I do want her to get something needs to happen behind the scenes to help Kennedy because the talent is being wasted. Like, we're not seeing the talent like the way we should.
To answer TJ's question, which is down in the group chat, if you don't want to come up because you're not a public speaker, but you want to be engaged, you can head to the group chat. He asked a very simple question: are peanut butter cookies, trash? And I answered, they are disappointing, and not just disappointing. They are, as my grandmother would say, damn disappointing. Like that's when you knew it was something, just unsalvageable. So there you go, TJ. Your answer. It's just so damn disappointing. Like I don't understand why you're eating a peanut butter cookie as an adult. Like you're not a kid. Like get a grown up cookie. Dougie Fresco, Jordan, and then Danny D, ladies and gentlemen.
What's good, y'all? Just one more thing about the Pro-Am leagues. I know you were talking about how, the Pro-Ams is this, that, and the third. But what I wanted to say was that there's so many of these leagues out right now that there's different levels to the Pro-Ams too. So at least from what I'm hearing is that the Atlanta one is not really all that. So a lot of the complaints I heard was like, yo, come out to the Drew League or come to the Rucker with all of that. Like, you're not doing that at 155th. You're not doing that at the Kingdom. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not embarrassing people to that level. Like, they do get embarrassed, but you're not throwing the ball at people like that at Dykeman. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if that's the case or how good that league is. I do know sometimes them Atlanta leagues are kind of funny. I don't know if y'all remember there was a dude, Hot Sauce, back in the day who made a...
All right, he must have got a call. And Hot Sauce was dope.
And he was, but when they brought him out to the Rucker, when they brought him out to the, out here, they was killing him. They was killing him, and all that stuff was not working, right? Like all that stuff he was pulling out there, that shit wasn't working out here. So I do agree with him saying, yo, the young kids, they can't, come out and play. I get that, but I doubt that he's coming to 55th doing that. Dejounte doing that same stuff. That's all I wanted to say about that.
Yeah, and that's why I referred to it as the Pro-Am circuit, not the Pro-Am leagues, because there is a circuit where players play. Like I think Jalen Brunson, he dropped 30 and one of the what I would call the lower A circuit, right? And then when you get to the B circuit, that's really like the leagues outside of the Drew that formed because of the Drew. But it is one thing. There are probably about 8 places I know of personally that he probably wouldn't be able to get that done at, right?
Yeah.
he would probably still dust them. He would probably still snatch a couple of ankles, but there's a definitely a different style of play.
Yeah.
There's 3 in New York, 1 in Philly, 1 in DC, 1 in Miami, 1 in Dallas, and 2 in LA that are like legit pros type outdoor games. So yeah, I feel you. Jordan, hop in here. What you got?
Yeah, just to go off of that, it wasn't a league in Atlanta. It was one of his local leagues in Seattle, which I think that contributed to a lot of the aggressiveness too. Because
Oh,
if you look back at some of the tape and what he was saying, he was like, because they both were wearing number 5, and he was, like, I'm the real number 5, and they both from Seattle, so it was kind of like a back and forth kind of thing between them. And I think Dejounte's team ended up winning and getting the championship and all that stuff. But with the rest of the people just saying that, like, it's corny or whatever, and it's like, so what? Let him be corny. Let him. I don't know. Let him do what he does. I mean, it's not really. It's not really hurting anyone. It's not really doing anything. A lot of the thing that Dejounte's been saying, he's been trying to get a lot of the NBA players to do these pro-ams because kids can go see stars live and in person and shake hands and get shoes and get autographs and stuff because they might not be able to go to NBA games. And I think he's especially been doing a lot of the local pro-ams with, guys from his neighborhood and guys in Seattle. So I think a lot of that contributed to it too. But for the W playoffs, I'm excited to see if the Dream can make it. I think they can squeeze in. I want to see them in the playoffs. That'll be a huge turnaround from where they were. Just a whole upheaval of the entire organization, going from basically nothing to the playoffs is huge, and I enjoy seeing all the tweets and everyone that are watching the Dream games, and they get to see um their arena in College Park and see how lively it is and see how loud it is and see how much fun everyone is having during the games and the music and everything. It's a really great experience down there, and just hopefully the Dream can make it in and maybe get a couple games off.
All right. Um, Atlanta's a very underrated viewership. Like if you are in Atlanta and you want to catch a game, um, almost every team has a live crowd. I mean, you can't blame the Falcons for not because of the Falcons, but like everybody else is pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Danny, what's up? It's good to see you back up here.
Oh yeah, my mama calls at the most opportune time. But no, I'm like Malika with the WNBA and Kennedy. Oh, God, what they doing with Kennedy? I
Kennedy.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, that just frustrates me because a homegirl can get a bucket when she feels like it. She's a great player. I just think, it's like she goes from one bad situation to another. I know she had a few issues at Texas A&M, but once they got her, focused and together, she started to play so much better. She was, she got her mind right, and the game started to become easier for her. But she needs to go, like you said, somewhere where there's structure, like you said, where she could feel comfortable and be herself. And I guess she feel like she needs to be
And
understood.
she could be held accountable though also, like it needs to
Right.
be, because I don't think she's innocent here, but I also
No.
don't think
Yeah.
I don't think she's completely at fault, and the framing of it is,
It doesn't
like,
help her. It
it
doesn't
doesn't
help
help
her
her
with other
or the
teams at the end of the
organization.
day. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it doesn't help anybody. Like
But,
I want to see Kennedy, but she
mm-hmm.
needs to be she needs some accountability, and the team
Right.
needs to get, to help her get on the court. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, on both sides. Like, not to both sides it, but and I hate when I do this, but I want to see Kennedy. But some of the framing I see on the W tweets is they're
Yeah.
holding her back. Why? Why aren't we asking why? And why are we making sure she gets
Mm-hmm.
what she needs to get
Exactly.
on the court?
And that was what I was going to say too. I mean, it's both sides here, and you got to hold her accountable. But what I find in the W that kind of pisses me off a little bit, if a player doesn't work out in your system on your team, you'll kind of paint that person in a messed up light, and you're gonna hurt her trade stock and other teams taking her, and people already having these preconceptions about her. And I'm not trying to take ownership from her. She is you got to be held accountable for your BS too, at the end of the day. But I want better for her, and I hope they figure it out. Hope they find a good coach. Hope they find some other stuff they need to work out on their end. Um, at the end of the day, look at it. Hopefully your wonderful Liberty makes it. I hope you don't drop no more games. And
Looking bleak right now. Look a little bleak.
it looked kind of bleak but it's always a possibility. But I'm telling people, if you're not watching W, y'all need to be watching it. I know we talk about a little bit NBA stuff, but at the same time, watch the W, y'all. Y'all missing some great content, some great players. You're watching a whole lot of good, solid basketball. Shout out to Chelsea Gray. She's the point guard. Y'all just don't know. Y'all just missing it. Just missing it. Y'all talk about Sue Bird, but Sue Bird couldn't do what she was doing yesterday.
And I'm a Vandersloot fan too. I'm a Vandersloot fan and Sloot as well for Chicago. But yeah.
Y'all missing out on the point guard. That's what we call it. That's all I got to say.
All right.
For
No,
right now.
if you haven't if you've been any part of Hoop Spaces during the regular season, you know I am a avid NBA fan. I am a WNBA fan. I am not as much of a WNBA fan as I am an NBA fan. Part of it for me is how they treated the league in its first iteration and how it basically folded, and it takes a lot for me to work around and come back to something after I think it's been purposely mishandled. And one of the things that goes on within social media is this talk of we need more support and the W needs more support. And I personally think it's not that it needs more support. All things need more support. I think it's that we're not getting the type of support that we need as fans to really be emotionally attached and involved with the WNBA. Like I have been all season trying to decide between the Mystics and the Fever, and I'm now, as of today, also inclined to say I got to kind of throw the Sparks in there because I like Kennedy. I want to see her succeed. I want to see her play. And maybe next year, if she's with a new coach and a new GM with a new vision, maybe we see that type of blossoming in LA. But when I try to watch, yeah, like it's so inconvenient. It's like peanut butter cookies. It's so disappointing.
Okay, now you're crossing the line. Stop it. Stop with the peanut butter cookies. I like peanut butter cookies. They're good. But on that note, I got blacked out again Saturday. I couldn't watch the Wings play. I had to go all the way online on Bally Sports to watch them. So they do make it kind of difficult to watch a game.
All right, there you go. I do have some James Webb Telescope news. Apparently, even an inanimate object is not averse to getting conspiracy theory videos because there's now a conspiracy video of Proxima B and Pluto saying that James Webb Telescope has found signs of an ancient civilization. It cannot do that, okay? At least not yet. Does it have the ability? Possibly, but the people who are actually using it haven't figured out how to use it to find stuff like that. So if you happen to see one of those things, chill out. All right, it's chill.
Well, can it detect who did Jimmy Butler's hair, and also if he's going to go get the BBL treatment like Kyle Lowry in Miami? That's all I need to know.
Look,
leave Jimmy alone with the locks. I mean, Jesus, people have done worse things. I mean, it's okay.
LeBron played and Carlos Boozer played like a whole season with spray on hair, guys. Like, are we really doing this?
All right, we gotta
Remember that
chill.
Bynum haircut?
We talked
He
about
had
him
Remember
that.
that
back in the
Bynum
day
haircut?
too with that spray on hairline. We all were shook with that. I said, where'd that darkness come from? That
Remember
paint on
that?
his head.
Remember that Carlos Douglas Roberts had a joint back in the day? It's a couple bad
Ooh.
hairstyles. I want to eventually do something on the worst NBA hairstyles ever, but I digress.
Roy Tarpley, and then there was another cat. Oh, the name is
Jeremy Lin, don't forget that
No,
Jeremy
I'm not
Lin
worried
experiment
about.
he was
I'm
doing.
thinking the dude with the Jerry curl. Oh God, he played with the curl all the way into the 90s.
You talking about AC Green?
No, he ended the curl like around 89 or 90. This dude played like with nothing but Jerry curl. I can't remember the name. I'll remember it later. Anthony, what's up, man?
Yo, what's up, man? What's up? Long time no see, man.
Are you over here? I saw you open up your mic. Are you saying you're buying into the James Webb Telescope finding artificial light on Proxima B?
Nah.
All right. Anybody down there below want to hop in on this Proxima B? No? All right.
I didn't talk about the peanut butter cookies. That's the first thing he said. I
Like
agree
what?
with you. They are trash.
Thank you.
Fucking trash. Peanut butter cookies are
You know,
awful.
Anthony agrees with me.
Fuck.
This dude eats Pop Tarts.
I do. I ate some last night.
He's a good. Why are you eating Pop Tarts at night?
Because they're good.
What the parts are? Like, man.
Danny, don't encourage this behavior. This is not good behavior.
Sometimes you want a nice old hot Pop Tart. They're good. Don't
Well,
hate.
You ain't even have it hot.
No toaster.
Oh, I gotta put mine in the toaster now. They gotta be crispy.
I'm from the struggle. We ain't had no toasters. So.
TJ, it's not Reggie Theus either. I'm gonna get it. It's a dark skinned brother. He played shooting guard, small forward, or he played small forward, power forward. Can't remember.
And Carlos Boozer.
Well,
no,
I'm talking about the guy with the Jerry curl.
No, I'm saying you said Carlos Boozer had spray paint.
Yeah.
No, he had that at damn Duke. So yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Bankai's with us. Bankai, what's up, man? Good morning.
What's up? Good afternoon. Doesn't the guy on this guy that plays on the Thunder have like a terrible haircut? Like he has a mullet or something?
Oh, you mean Giddy?
No. Another guy. I forgot his name. He's like I think he's a forward or a two guard. I know he was with the Thunder last season for sure. I don't know if he's still there, but I gotta look up his name. But he has like a mullet type of thing going on.
I have no idea. And by the way, the guy I'm thinking of is Michael Cage. Played for the Clippers.
Michael Cage, yeah, you're right.
Well, remember Alfred Payton when he was with the Magic?
Yeah, but he didn't have a Jerry curl.
He had the Kodak Black dreads.
Yeah. Now you got to look up Michael.
He had the weekend dreads.
Yeah, look up Michael Cage, and you'll be like, "Oh wow."
Nah, look up Scott Pollard with his like mohawks and stuff like that. Those were bad.
Nobody worried about. Nobody worried about that. How your Knicks looking, Bankai?
I think we're looking okay. I really like the Jalen Brunson signing. I'm excited. I'm very excited to watch him play. He was playing. I don't know. I'm not too familiar with the pro-ams and these type of leagues, so I don't know what league he was playing in like a few days ago. But he looked pretty good there. You can correct me, Chris, because I don't know the name of that league. But he looked pretty good. I think he dropped like 26, had a couple of assists, and like was looking a little flashy. So I'm excited to see what he can bring. I'm ready for RJ Barrett to take a leap in year 4. And yeah, I'm not freaking out over the Donovan Mitchell stuff. I keep telling everybody, like, if we trade for him, it's a win. If we don't trade for him, it's a win too. We get to keep our assets. If we do trade for him, we get to start. So whatever happens, we're good. I'll be fine. I do think that with a point guard, we can win some more games, because if you look at last season, there was at least like 10, 12, maybe even 15 games that we lost just because we had Alec Burks running the point out there, and I respect Burks, but frankly, he was put in a spot that, he wasn't capable to deal with. He's not really a point guard. He's like he's like a combo. He's like a tweener. Like if you ask him to play the point, he's not gonna say no, but by default, he's not that. And that's a that's I think that's one of the main reasons why we ended up losing like a lot of games down the stretch because we were in a lot of close games and we just couldn't pull them out at all. So I think with Jalen Brunson here, I think he can organize the offense better. He can get RJ easier shots. Hell, I even think if he's still here by the start of the season, I think he can keep Julius Randle in check. And you won't be seeing those crazy like fadeaway jump shots on like smaller players and him trying to dribble through 3, 4 people and losing the ball. So, I think the team has improved. I don't think we're like top of the East, not anywhere close, but we can maybe like a play in, or if they can surprise us and pull out a little more, then I'd be happy with it.
Oh, we're definitely better Chicago Bulls. I don't care.
No,
Definitely better.
if the Bulls are
Definitely.
healthy though, they're
Wait.
pretty good.
Are you better than the Chicago Bulls?
Well, are we not?
I'll never say
No, I don't think. I don't
Are
think
we not?
if the Bulls are fully healthy, I don't really see it.
Man, we're better. We're better than I don't care. Like, I don't care. We're better than them.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we can solve this now with the simple question: who has the better season next year, the Bulls or the Knicks?
Knicks. Damn it. Run the
Healthy,
poll. Run the poll. Damn it. Run the poll.
I'm running it now, man.
Run that shit. God damn it.
I think it's about
see the
chemistry.
homer in me wants to say Knicks, but like realistically, like if the Bulls are fully, and I'm talking fully healthy, like Lonzo is there and he's not missing time, and Caruso doesn't catch some freak accident or something, then and Zach LaVine doesn't hurt his shooting thumb or whatever it was that he hurt, then I honestly I would go with them. But if they're missing like some guys here and there, then and the Knicks are healthy, I could see it. You know what I mean?
Who's the new big man Chicago got?
No, he's not new. They have Vooch starting and Drummond as his backup.
Drummond. Okay.
I don't know the exact pro-am that he was at in Philly. I'm assuming it's the Rumpf Classic. It's the one that he normally goes to. He's been going there ever since he went to Villanova. That's the Jalen Brunson pro-am in Philly where he dropped like 30. I don't know. I'm assuming it is because he's been there since like 2018.
Are you still talking to Dejounte Murray though? Because I was gonna say real quick, I don't have any issues with them going at it on the court. Like that's fine. They're playing basketball. If they want to shit talk each other to death and shove each other, that's fine. It's literally just shit talk, right? It's basketball. Who doesn't talk shit when they play? But my issue, the thing that I do find corny, and I think a lot of people have found corny, is taking it to Instagram and like kind of like attacking the kid on like social media and trying to embarrass him in front of everybody else. I don't agree with that. That's what I find corny, to be honest. Like, you handle it on the court, whatever. You're talking shit, fine. But if anything, if you really have a problem with him, if you're really upset with him, just, I don't know. I'm assuming this guy has his number, or you can run into him somewhere, pull him to the back, and just talk to him and tell him, like, hey, I don't appreciate the way that you say you were the number one pick and you're acting all Hollywood. Like, I don't appreciate that. I think taking it to Instagram or Twitter or something, it's just kind of corny and it opens up a whole big can of worms that shouldn't be opened up in the first place. And it's just, I don't know. It's an overall corny situation. And I don't know if you saw, apparently there's like a post of like Dejounte Murray telling him he's going to blow his back or something like that. I don't know if that's real or not.
Not real, bro.
But it's kind of crazy if it is.
It's not.
Oh, okay. Because that was a little wild. It looked kind of real.
Yeah, they all look kind of real now.
I really hate trolls because they just some of the weird shit.
I don't know if you spoke about it though. What they should be talking about also is these two guys. They were going to throw down yesterday. What's his name? Bones Highland and Brandon Goodwin. I don't know if you saw the video. They were going to throw punches at each other.
Yeah, that one actually is personal. So that's why I'm not touching that one.
I think Goodwin actually swung on him.
No, there's off court stuff with that. I don't get in personal stuff.
Yeah, my thing is why they double team at a pro am game anyway?
Yeah, that's corny. That's real corny.
In a pickup game, you double teaming. Like, what are we
Because
doing,
he was
yo?
probably talking trash, man.
But you're double teaming in a pickup game.
So
It was the
Get out of here.
championship game of the
No, you
tournament.
can't do that.
I said this earlier, Anthony. You missed this.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if Paulo's the number one pick, right? There's a baseline of expected behavior from a rookie. He's not acting like it. And I think people are starting now to try to call him out so that once the season gets here, you know, he stays the code that they grew up in.
Well,
I'm just trying to figure out what is he acting like.
Oh, I don't
know. What is he doing? He just
has
hooping.
this been an issue? Has this been an issue with him before? Like even in his college days and stuff, where like I guess he acted a certain way, like he was too big than what he supposedly is right now. Is that the issue?
No, Paulo has been a quiet kid. I don't know.
I won't call
what's
it.
Going on.
Yeah, I won't call it an issue, but it was definitely a brand. Like people were trying to brand him as that, and it started with the fallout of recruiting. Originally, he was going to go to Washington, and then he chose Duke. He chose Duke after the 2019 or just before the 2019 state finals, and a lot of people feel some sort of way about it. Like, I'm cool with that.
I tell you this right now: if he went to Washington, he wouldn't be the number one pick. I'll tell you that.
And then also, coincidentally, like if you remember the incident with Mike Krzyzewski's grandson, that charge of aiding and abetting has been dropped. It was dropped 10 days ago as the grandson pleaded guilty and part of the plea agreement, and his crime was absolved. Jordan, what's up?
Hey, yeah, just for the tournament, everyone's like, why are they doubling or being so serious in a pro-am game? Like, it was the championship game of the pro-am. There was a huge trophy and everything. So being the competitor that he is and that their team is, they wanted to win the trophy in their own city for that reason. And I think a lot of people are getting the timeline confused. Like Dejounte just went out of his way to attack Paulo out of nowhere on Instagram for some reason. But he didn't do that. He just unfollowed him quietly. And then Paulo was the one that publicized it on Instagram. And then it blew up into a story. And then Dejounte, he responded with what he responded with. And now Paulo's responded with something else. Like, oh, I'm humble. I'm the same guy. It's like a whole back and forth thing. But if Paulo never publicizes it and he never says anything, then nothing ever happens. And we just see the highlight only.
That is true. What's up, Brand? You're back. What you got?
Yo, I was gonna say, Paulo actually. I mean, had he hypothetically, I mean, this don't mean nothing. Hypothetically, don't mean nothing. But had he gone to UW, who's to say he wouldn't have been a number one pick? Because he's on the Magic team with a number one overall pick from UW. So that's not to say that had he wouldn't have kept it home or kept it at home, that this would be any different. But you know, Paulo was a little bit affluent, you know, compared to like Dejounte Murray. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I'm gonna say. You know, he could have stayed at home at UW, but he went out to Duke. You feel me? And a fluid choice. Excuse me. So that's all it is. I'm out.
All right, appreciate it. I got about another 14 minutes. Bankai, what do you got?
All right, so I've been hearing some people talk about this. Like, do you think Popovich was legitimately holding back like this type of behavior from him, and now I guess he feels kind of free to like really be who he is, or not? Because I'm only asking because like I've heard some rumbling and some people like kind of speaking about it now.
You want to eat now or no?
Wait, what?
No, Danny doesn't know she's on.
Oh,
I got you, Danny. Look, the Spurs have a organizational structure very similar to a corporate entity that hired a former military officer. They want you to do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. I don't view it as a cult. I view it as a system of accountability, right? Certain players thrive in it and certain players don't. There is a sacrifice for some who tend to be more outward going people, right? Because the Spurs don't want negative publicity. They don't want anything to take away from the focus of what is basketball. Now, is there some freedom after leaving the Spurs? Absolutely. But unfortunately, that type of question can really only be answered by one individual, and that his name is Dejounte Murray. Anything else would just kind of be unwarranted speculation. Evan, you're probably the closest out of everybody in the room to the Spurs with your words over there at Project Spurs, and then you're covering Austin Spurs. Um, your thoughts to that question? Is this just more of a reaction from leaving San Antonio, where he now might feel a greater sense of freedom, or is it like what I think? This is kind of who he's been. It's just more out in the open because the Spurs had a better PR staff.
Yeah, that's exactly it. DeJounte has been this way for the longest time, but realistically, they did a good job of hiding it. He pretty much forced his way out. We know that in a thing in past few months. But I've said this, so maybe this space, maybe not. But he was forcing his way, showing frustration in like February, January, around the trade deadline. He even yelled, "Trade me," after a long, 13-14 point swing against the Pelicans. We lost the game. He did that. He even gave an armbar to Coach Pop. You don't do that to the greatest coach of all time. You don't do certain things until you know you're being sent out, until you know you're not being part of this team anymore. The Spurs, you pretty much explained it, black and white, nothing else, nothing left, nothing right. You're pretty much going to be a part of this organization, and there's no funny business. There's no going to strip clubs, flexing your bands, no diamond testing, your little grill. But I'm not saying too much. Anyways, basically, DeJounte feels, I'm free, I'm doing this and that, I can do whatever I want, and he's happy. He definitely wanted to be probably an Atlanta Hawk or a Knick or nothing else. That's why all this posts, all antics are pretty much pointing towards that, and he's happy. There's no one going to be on the Spurs that are going to be doing anything on the lines of John Morant tweets or DeJounte tweets. Anything like that is obsolete, so... Yeah,
according to him, the Knicks were never on his radar, though. So that's something else that we gonna have for him when he come to the Garden.
Yeah, I don't think I don't. I think the Knicks were used as a ploy. I don't think he ever was considering.
He was in New York. He was posting I'm wearing all blue, working on the blue and orange custom New Balances. Everybody know, I'm not going to say too much, but pretty much, I guess those are the two teams that I guess were in emergency mode before the Kevin Durant stuff happened, to get that last piece, to push them into the top of the East. But they were trying to pair DeJounte and then Jalen at one point before Spider, so I don't really know much about that, but it's all speculation.
All right. Uncle Bill's up here. Dougie Fresco's here. Anthony Bonkai, Jordan, and Danny D. Also up here is Rated FR. We'll go to Uncle Bill first, and then we'll go to Rated FR. What's up, Uncle Bill? How you doing? You're doing a lot better than the Knicks are in this poll. Currently, the question, who has the better season, Bulls or Knicks? And the Bulls are trouncing the Knicks right now. What you got, Uncle Bill?
We got haters. That's all. We got haters.
Haters, all right. FR, what's up? How you doing?
What's up? I was just listening.
All right, cool. Got nothing? You don't want
Art Crystal because I heard you talking about the James Webb telescope. I know people supposed to then F on me like that in space stuff like that. What's up?
All right. All right. About 5 minutes until we start giving our parting shot. What you got? You just have your mic on mute. All right. I want to give you guys the games tonight because we are closing in on the last week of W Play. There's only a single game on tonight. It is on NBA TV. So therefore, unless you live in the Dallas area, you should be able to watch it. It's the New York Liberty versus the Dallas Wings, and this is a must-win for both teams if they want to make a case to stay in the playoffs as Dallas or make the playoffs as New York. That is 8 p.m. on NBA TV. Tuesday, that is tomorrow, and I'm giving you tomorrow's slate because I do not know if I'm having a show as of yet. Seattle will visit Chicago at 8 p.m. on NBA TV. Atlanta will go to Las Vegas. They need to win this game in Las Vegas. That is at 10 on CBS Sports Network. And then the Connecticut Sun, as Edwin was saying earlier, a back-to-back in LA to face the Sparks. The Sparks need to win each game they have, 10:30 on NBA TV. So I know what I'm doing tonight until tomorrow night. I'm watching the Liberty and Wings, and I'll probably skip the Sky and Storm game. I think we have swimming tomorrow, so I'll catch the Sun and the Sparks. NBA news, we are pretty much at the end of what's considered the off season. We're getting ready for teams to get ready to report for their G League players they know that aren't going to have a shot at the NBA roster. Then we'll get the NBA training camps in there. We'll start getting some more veteran deals, I think, as we saw Kent Bazemore sign this morning. The Lakers still have 8 veterans from last year's team that have yet to sign a contract. And then I think we're about 10 days out from any feasible trade that is remaining to happen will happen. If nothing happens by the 17th of August, I think we're pretty much locked in until the trade deadline. So start looking forward to regular coverage, as most of your favorite reporters are all on vacation. If you've noticed, they tend to take their vacation starting the last week of July all the way through August. So get ready for some new content from all of your favorite regular journalists, and more content from the content creators here on Spaces. Uncle Bill, I'm going to give you another shot here to come on in before we get ready to close up shop.
Are you talking about me, bro?
Yeah, Uncle. I'm sorry, Uncle Bleed. I keep saying Uncle.
See, all right. So I thought if there was another dude up here that wasn't me. I apologize. It's Uncle Bleed, brother. But that's all good. What's up, Chris? How you doing? Long time. How's
I'm
everything
good.
going?
I saw Uncle B.I. in mine, and I'm like, that's a Boston Celtics guy, so I'm just gonna say Bill, like Uncle Bill Simmons, because I didn't.
No. We out here, brother. I want to talk about Dejounte Murray really quickly. I love the edge that he is bringing to the offseason. I think the combination of him with Ice Trey and that, they're both so spicy. I think we're about to see some soap opera in-house stuff that they're so edgy. I really, really look forward to what's about to happen with them in the NBA. I'm not even talking about their wins and losses, but I do think that the personality matches with that backcourt, and we're going to have a lot of stories coming out of that locker room moving forward. I love the rivalry that's budding between Orlando and Atlanta. I wish that Orlando was a little bit better so that we can get some primetime games from them, but fantastic stuff. I hope that they keep that up. However, I have a quick question. Because you are an WNBA guy who's in the know, and me opinion, the WNBA has a slightly smaller ball, which I think because biologically women are smaller than men. Why haven't they explored lowering the rim 6 to 8 inches? Would that be something that would allow?
No, don't do that.
Maybe have. And if I am wrong, if I am being sexist, I apologize. That is not what I am intending to do at all. Genuinely.
That's something that you kind of really can't discuss off in the W community out of respect, because that's their thing. That's something ain't like a man can't come play WNBA. So for us to sit up and kind of go ahead.
No, please.
Oh, well, I mean, it's just out of respect to them. I don't believe they want to dunk. I think the smaller ball is cool. Yeah, but this is the women's sport. It's not us. We want to dunk. That's just, I don't know. It's just an instinct we have. They probably don't care.
There are 4 ball sizes, right?
Everybody wants to dunk, though.
It's size 4 through size 7. The W uses size 6. That's 28.5 inches. All right. There are two main reasons outside of it just being blatantly and many eyes of the W community is disrespectful. The game is centered around basic principles of physics, right? That is what creates the equitable playing field. The ball is 28.5 inches because the size of the hand on average is smaller than the size of a male, right?
Yep.
But if you were to lower the rim just for them to dunk physics wise, you would change the actual game, right?
Yep.
You would change everybody's shooting motion, everybody's mechanics, how everybody drives to the rim, everybody's layup. You are then actually destroying the game that these women have played their entire life.
Okay.
Right? That outside of the fact of it's their game is the reason why. And nobody just says, hey, there's actually science behind the game as well as compassion, right? To be like somebody going into your job and arbitrarily changing something because from their perspective, it isn't right.
Okay. And how many points a dunk worth? How many points is a dunk worth? How many points you get for a dunk?
But let's not act like a dunk is not one of the most exciting things in sports. Like, that's just be real. Like, even in the NBA, they changed the ball to Wilson. Everyone had to adjust. They changed the line. They move it back and forth. Everyone had to adjust. So I agree with some points.
But it doesn't.
No, hold on. I agree with some of the points you made. But we change the game all the time in the NBA for the better. You just said you just said that if we played. You just said hold on. You just said if we played the same game from the 50s, we wouldn't be here now on here, right?
The NBA is in trash production right now because of all these rule changes.
But the problem is, as a girl that's played ball, and the girl that had the ball that everybody had to allow me to play with, I played on a regular rim like everybody else. You can't change the rim height because we've played forever on that same rim height. Okay? And you just can't change that.
It's to be basketball. That's the issue. If you change the rim height, it ceases to be basketball. And that's where the affront and offense begins. And then when people continue to argue, that's when it gets into the point of now you're separating it, and now you're kind of being that discriminatory person, right? That's like it's about how you perceive your interaction with your world, and you're trying to force that on their world, and that's the discriminatory part. That's where.
Definitely coming from a perspective of what they would want to do. I know that it's the majority men in here, so it's like you said, not our place to have this discussion. But there is a woman. Hey, Danny, and I know what the perspective was on why that there was pushback on, or why that hasn't been explored. And if it's because it's changing the game, it would no longer be basketball. I respect that. I'm just genuinely curious about. Are women not interested in that aspect of the game? And I apologize if I come across as ignorant.
No, you're not sexist. I didn't know nobody saying that. I'm just saying that as a woman, a dunk is just 2 points. Yeah, a dunk is exciting. I get that. But what gets me excited is when you make a sassy pass, a nice layup, a nice crossover. You make a nice block. I get more excited about a block than anything else. So I hear you. I understand where you're coming from perspective, but I guess that's where the fence comes, that we've been playing on that rim for forever. And that's the only rim we know. It's just like saying with football, maybe we could do this. Maybe we need to bring the field in smaller, or, or maybe you need to take. They have.
And they need to. They need to change that game up to make it more safe. They need to change it. Like, that's just the reality about it.
Right, that's just the reality of it. But those like my husband who love football, there's certain things they hate the changes, so they try to keep everything the same. Or even with baseball, they try to speed things up, but it's still baseball. It's still boring as shit. But at the end of the day,
so like part of the issue is also that the game itself is super simple, right? Like, it really is soccer with your hands in its simplicity. And the problem when you have something that's simplistic is that you can make the variations of the game, but there's still a connecting linchpin. And the connecting linchpin in the game of basketball is the rim height. And so that's why I'm saying if you keep trying to change that part, you're not changing the game for better or worse. You're actually changing the game, period. And that is an argument that is outside of the normal argument of why are you forcing your game and the view of basketball from your perspective onto their perspective. So like they actually have legitimate arguments. It's just the majority of people don't want to sit down and have the long drawn out discussion about why that idea isn't really good. That's all.
Did Danny say she played basketball?
She did. She did.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a quick question? Like
Yeah.
when you practice, did you use the women's ball or the male ball? Because like I feel like if I had a daughter coming up, I would want her to use the male ball because she always can go back to the female ball. But wouldn't she get better if she practiced with the male ball, or am I wrong in that?
You're not wrong in that. I mean, I practiced with the ball my uncle gave me, so it was a man's ball. Yeah, so and this is back in the 90s. So yeah. I play with a man ball. I mean, it does the weight kind of does make a difference. If it doesn't make it changes it helps with you pushing the ball off, I guess you could say. In my opinion, everybody may be different, but it does help you with pushing the ball off more.
Way more than that.
Yeah, it's a little bit more than that. It teach you better with handles. My handles weren't the greatest. I was more a defensive player and rebounding kind of person. Mm-hmm. But I mean, that's the first ball I ever started off with. I mean, she'll adjust. It doesn't make to me. It don't make a damn difference to me. A ball is a ball. As long as I get up in the hoop. But it's about working on your skill sets. Doing the dribbling, instead of worry about making a shot, worry about your form. Are you following through on your shot? That's what she needs to focus on, if anything else.
Last question. What about an all-star weekend, a dunk contest with like?
See, you're going back to the dunking thing.
You took 2 steps forward and 20 steps back.
I'm talking about just that event.
That's one of the.
The reception of All-Star Weekend that I saw was a poor one. From
All-Star Weekend was just bad.
The visibility aspect of it, right? And I do think that from that perspective, maybe a dunk contest would help. I would love to see women doing 360 dunks on maybe a slightly lower rim, not in the game per se.
The NBA dunk contest is trash,
in the game.
So
in the game too.
Don't matter.
Again, not in the game, just as an event.
You are still trying to ascribe your vision of basketball onto their game. You're not hearing that hurdle. You're not clearing that hurdle. That's the offense. Like you keep coming in. It's like colonization. You're going to tell the others to do something different than what they're doing.
Or do something that they can't even do. Can any of y'all in here do?
WNBA
on the 2-foot?
Listen, I don't watch the WNBA
I cannot
because it's not my thing. But
if
like,
you lowered the rim to 9 feet, I would get busy.
We can't necessarily necessarily as men, we can't really come in and tell them like what to do with their game at the end of the day. Like that's their league. That's how they play. That's how they're used to playing, and that's what they like to do. Like we can't really come in and change it. It's like somebody came in and told us in the NBA, like you got to change this and you got to change that, and it'll be better. I guarantee you, some people won't like that, and they will feel offended about it. So it's like we can't really say.
I completely agree.
I'm gonna go ahead and warn y'all now. Like other W rooms, you bring that up, they're gonna drag you. You're gonna get ran.
Yeah, absolutely. I came in with a disclaimer. I know that it's a very touchy subject. I apologize in advance. I'm genuinely curious. And I appreciate y'all for even answering the question. And I'm a fall back from there. Just know that last point. Atlanta is not a top 5, top 4 seed this season. That's absolutely ridiculous. I don't know where y'all think the Celtics, Sixers, Bucks, and Miami are going, but they're all getting better. So for y'all to think that Atlanta's a top 4 seed is hilarious to me. That is just not happening. But anyway, I appreciate y'all time.
On the way out,
Respect,
he's
respect.
stirring up the hornet's nest for you Hawk fans. If you don't agree with him, it's Uncle Bleed. Just go ahead and yell at him, not at me.
Thank you very much, Uncle Bleed, baby.
I got to get out of here, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate all of you coming in on a Monday. I won't know if I have a show tomorrow until probably tomorrow morning. I know I don't have a show Wednesday. I got court. I'll be back for sure Thursday.
Hell, man, you all right? Shit.
Oh well, yeah.
You got a case, bro?
Somebody owes me money, man. Like,
shit. Damn.
you know,
Should have called me. I could have got it for you. You know?
well,
Yeah.
no, because like that I don't do stuff that's illegal. Like he's not meaning anything illegal if you're listening. He was just going to simply ask nicely.
All right. As long as you're okay, man. I thought you did some shit.
Nah.
Wait, Anthony asked nicely? Yeah, okay.
Hey, look, you know.
He's gonna pistol whip somebody.
See, you know, gosh.
Do we have to crack some knees? Because I like doing that.
It's just it's spread. It has spread. The virus is here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm playing some music. All right. If you missed any part of the show and you want to replay, head over to YouTube. We are there as a featured creator for audiolabs.io. It's really cool. They allow me to simply do what I do and not have to worry about converting anything to YouTube. It's in a beta. They're going to be releasing soon, so make sure you check them out, audiolabs.io. Yeah, I got nothing. Really got nothing. I actually wanted to spend more time talking about the physics of the basketball, right? And I wanted to ask a question before I left. How many of you know what Magnus force is? Right? Like if you're on stage, go ahead. Like, do you know what Magnus force is? Yes or no?
No.
Do you know what buoyant force is?
I can pretty much put two and two together, yeah.
All right. What about drag force?
Okay. Where are you going with all this? Gotcha.
I'm just asking who knows these terms. That's all I'm asking.
You're the only one that know these terms. Go ahead.
Asking.
I think you are because I never heard of them before. So
I think
I've
you got
heard
something
of
good.
drag force, but that's about it. Never heard of a magnum force.
You being one dimensional, Chris. You're being one dimensional. Come on now.
Okay, so by the way, Newton figured this out like almost 200 years before Magnus. Magnus wondered why cannonballs, this is like back in the 1800s, would deflect in their path. So like imagine a cannon being shot at a wall, you think it goes statically straight. You know, if it's slightly up, you'll have an angle and, you know, it'll go up and it'll come down. But no, that's not the case. Oftentimes, and like when I say often, very often, cannonballs shot out to the left or to the right. They would hook or they would spin. And it's because of the cannonball spinning while flying through the air and the different velocity within the cannon structure causing the spin with friction, and then the lack of friction with the cannonball being exploded from the cannon. Like, that happens with a basketball every time a player dribbles. Did y'all know that?
As they dribble, I was more or less thinking about as they shooting, as you were saying that, like the friction inside of your hand versus the friction, the lack of friction when it leave your hand.
That's a different issue because most pro players shoot with their fingertips, not their hands, specifically for the reason to actually create spin, which creates drag force. And specifically, the spin is backspin. And the backspin is actually what allows you to better guide it towards the hoop. Yeah, exactly. Wonderful. We'll talk more about it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a nerd. Sorry about that. See you Thursday for sure, 10 a.m.
Shut up, bro.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for popping in. There's some good follows in the room before we hop out of here. TJ Kiesel is a great follow. Not only is she positive and motivating and does far more working out than I do, I'm jealous. I just need to do it, but I don't really ever do it. She also does this thing where she mixes in adulting, right? with her passion. And that is a very hard thing to do consistently, and she does a wonderful job. So check her out, especially if you're into fashion and shoes. A lot of good tips that you're going to learn from her. Pickup card game, ladies and gentlemen, the best 2 to 3 minutes you can have while you're trying to kill or waste time, and some of the best 30 minutes you can have while watching basketball. In fact, you can order your copy today for $25 over at slamgoods.com, and you'll get it in time for the WNBA playoffs, and you can actually play the pickup card game while you're watching basketball. Like, wow, your mind is blown. Shout out to JF Cake in the building, CJ the Unathletic in the building, Verl, Nico, Logan the Foot, Nate. It's good to see you guys always coming in when you can, supporting the cause and the community. Appreciate you guys so much. If you have a question, go ahead and put it, in the chat box below. We'll keep the thread going. I just can't be on air starting in 90 seconds. See you guys later. Appreciate it. It's good to be back.